it doesn't really feel like there's guys that are in Fort Worth only are always like that. Like especially the stockyards. Stockyards is definitely more of a good old boy country,
Cowboys,
cowboy
everywhere.
stuff, right? And they're always more of the I'm a Fort Worth guy, that kind of stuff. But I don't give a shit. I'm a Texas guy, so
Yeah.
I like it to think of it that way. But I don't know. People are weird. I'm weird. We're all fucking
we
weird.
all have our quirks. But it was definitely like the actual stockyards being across. That was some crazy shit. Like I wanted to like go up in there and just ride a horse. Never rode a horse before.
Yeah.
I take it you have by that reaction.
ridden a horse.
Man, I just feel like I got to do it.
Yeah.
There's something like about it. It's primal.
Ride a horse, man. I don't know if I've ever wanted to.
Riding horses is fun.
It is.
Yeah, I've done it a few times. It's pretty cool.
I'm down for it.
I've never done it, man. I feel like I've just become an outdoorsy kind of person over the last like 6 years. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, not saying that I don't like being outside, but wanting to climb mountains and shit and
Right.
camp and do all that stuff, that's literally a new thing in my life. I'm 40 years old, so, anything last 5 years is new
Definitely.
compared to what it's been. So, but yeah, it's wild.
It is. It's now I feel like life has afforded me the time to enjoy that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was just like,
How old are you now?
I'm 33.
33.
Or about to be 33, I
Yeah.
should say.
Man, 30s is it's a good chunk, man. It really is. And, as someone that just left them, I went back and I was thinking about 10 years ago. And I was thinking about where my life was and the things that I valued, the things that I was trying to accomplish. And I feel like that was 3 people ago, 10 years ago. Like, almost nothing in my life is the same, even though it's still on the motorcycle path, but it just doesn't. I never thought of where my life has gone. You know what I mean?
And perspective wise, just
Yeah.
how you thought about the industry then versus now, I'm sure has 360'd.
You grow up, your trials and tribulations really help shape what you expect out of other people in your life. You get a little bit more wise about who you hang out with. Which I know you know all about that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So, and you learn to kind of like value or seek out like things that you understand how to accomplish things now. And so you kind of start applying some of those hard lessons of your 20s into your 30s and even more so in your 40s. So I'm excited for the next 10 years of my life. You know what I mean?
I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
But I also feel like since I spent all of my 20s pretty much fucked off.
Yeah.
Just either drunk or on drugs. And now I feel like I'm having to catch up. And then like when it comes to the clothing brand, like I'm the youngest of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
And the other 2, like they got me by 10 years and 7 years respectively.
For real?
Yeah. So they've done a lot of growing. They've also been clean a lot longer than I have. So
Yeah.
they've worked on themselves a lot. Like I'm just coming fresh out of it. It still feels like sometimes.
Yeah.
When I look at them, I'm like, fuck, they're just so organized. They're task oriented. And these are like things that I'm trying to work on. And
Even that in my life, I've over the last couple of months, I've tried my ass off to get into more routines.
yeah.
And it's hard when you're self-employed. You just know you got to go to work.
Yep.
But you might maybe 9, maybe 10, maybe 8 in the morning. It just depends on how you feel that day. But the routine shit, I'm not perfect at it, but since I've been pretty regularly waking up about 6 a.m., working out every morning, trying to watch what I eat all day, I just feel like I'm getting more shit done and I have more free time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The ultimate commodity.
Yeah. I'm getting off work at 4, 5-ish, going home, not burnt out, able to be a little bit more attentive to my wife and her needs. And, I don't know. I feel like I don't know why I fought it so long in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what I'm clinging to, or is it just not having the discipline to like crack down, but she's, it's only been 6 months of doing like the print shop, but she's sick of the 9 o'clock nights every night.
Yeah,
like she's getting tired of that. So
Yeah, that stuff happens, man. But that's part of the grind, especially at your age. If you want to build like empires, you have to
put it in.
You have to put it in, and I can tell you for a fact that if you do put in the work, it does get better. You do get more free time. You will probably damn, I can't even say that word right now. Probably be addicted to the grind. It becomes addicting, wanting to.
You
produce.
listening, woman? I know you are.
It does do that, but then you kind of get addicted to the concept of imagining things and accomplishing them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
1,000%.
yeah, I don't know, but I struggle. My brother does this a lot, where he ultimately wants this freedom of like work. You know, wants to create something that's going to pay him, and he doesn't have to work as hard and spend more time. But my luck, I'll talk shit about it and he'll pull it off somehow. But I don't know that. Like, I think you got to love what you're doing enough to always want to do it for the rest of your life. Because I don't know if there really is truly I'm going to put in some work here and then it's gone. I don't have to do this anymore. I'm just going to collect mailbox money after that. I don't think that exists unless you got some nepotism going on, or
Right.
you're just fucking you
Lucky.
come from you hit the sperm lottery or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
My big thing is the money. Like, as long as I'm making what I need to get by, I could care less at this point. And like some people's ultimate goal in starting a business or a product or an idea or a movement or whatever is, if it's to get rich, I don't think you're going to shrug a lot. For me, I just want to be happy with the time that I spend putting into it. Because for so long, like I was a car salesman for 8 years.
Yeah.
It's fucking rough. You know, I've been aged 10 years from that. So that alone, like having the 60-hour work weeks, missing every holiday, like there's memes about it. Like they're at a grill and it's like, should we save some for Jim? No, fuck Jim. He chose the sales path. Like I get my time back now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't
hear you
care
on
how
that.
much it is.
Well, so you guys decided collectively to start the LFG stuff, or how did that all kind of transpire in 2020?
Yeah, so I was working at San Diego Harley, and I showed up late, and I got let go. But then subsequently, the next week, everybody got laid off because of COVID. And I had also...
They got checks, though, didn't they?
Yeah, I didn't get a check. Eventually, down the line, I did. But in January 2nd of 2020, I was coming off a 9-month relapse. And it ended fucking bad. Like, I was in pieces. December 2019 has arguably been one of the worst months of my life to date. Damn. And a lot of good shit happened, but I got put through the ringer, and then I was fortunate enough to make it back, where so many people do not. So many people just die. Yeah. And just get loaded for the last time. And the boys, Dustin and Rafa, like they lived at the same house. We call it the compound. It's on Evan Street. It's right in the middle. It's kind of in the hood. It was where they all got clean and moved into. There's been like 7 people that have come through this trailer. It's a trailer.
Damn, I didn't know they had those in California.
They do. They like to dress them up and paint them cool colors and not call them trailers, but they're a trailer. It's a point of contention within the group.
It's like food trucks and shit.
Exactly. So I was going over there all the time, and we had this group chat called LFG, like, and it had a rocket, and that was the riding chat. Yeah. So we would put where we're going, when we're linking up, and all that. And Rafa approached me. He's like, "Let's turn this into a clothing brand." And I have a background in that, working at Zoomies, and like, always dreamed of doing it. And so we did. And they just, a week of us talking about it came and went. And Dustin was like, "I'm tired of hearing about it. What are we doing?" And then he got involved, and we got our first run of shirts, and it's been on and cracking ever since.
Well, so you're sitting at 3 years now, roughly, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, 3 years is it goes by quick, doesn't it?
It does. It's wild.
We built this studio in December of 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
We were just tripping on it today, or about a week ago. We were doing this little recap podcast, talking about all the episodes and like behind the scenes, and we're just halfway through 2019, and we're kind of going. It's made me appreciate.
Right.
The past, because you start these memories. Jaden's pulling up like the stories in the archive on Instagram of like what was going on, and just kind of reliving it and talking about it on that little podcast we've been doing on Patreon. But when did you start writing in general? Like, when did that come into your life? Was that something you did while getting fucked up and everything, or what?
No, actually, well, kinda. So my introduction to riding was riding dirt bikes in the Temecula. It's right north of San Diego. You know where Temecula is. So there's like wine country, and then there's Paris and Nuevo. There's a bunch of like just land. And my buddy had 2 dirt bikes, and he taught me how to ride a CRF 250. And then we used to just go trail riding through there, Beaumont, like all over that area of the IE. And then I had always wanted a bike, and my buddy let me ride a Sportster one night with T-bars and a 2-in-1, and I was like, this is it. Yeah. And he ended up getting a Dyna. Same kid, Eric Patton, that's my boy. He had this built Dyna that he's like a mechanic and is always just upgrading and stuff. And he was like, "I'll sell you my bike." And I was like, "Fuck yeah." And this is in the middle of my relapse. This was like my last like ditch, like, The bike will, because I was coming around to hang out with Dustin and Rafa and Ian and all our whole crew of friends. And I was like, if I get the bike, I'll go riding with them and I won't get fucked up because I don't want them to know, because they won't want to hang out with me because I'm getting loaded and riding motorcycles with them. Yeah. Nobody wants to, ride next to a tweaker. It just happens like that. Nobody wants to ride with anybody that's either hungover or tweaking. It's just not a good thing. So, and I got the 2009 Dyna Street Bob that I have that is super Dyna broed out. And it's got a sick paint job. And that's about it. And it's clapped. And I beat the shit out of it.
Yeah, that's all you got to do on those. What was so how'd you meet those guys originally? Did you meet them through like this house that you were talking about?
No. So we're in 12-step program, and for anybody that's in recovery and listening, like I know we're not really supposed to talk about this. I personally don't give a fuck because maybe there is somebody who's listening that doesn't know anything about this. We met in a 12-step program. Program I choose to go to is Narcotics Anonymous, NA. Mm-hmm. So we met at meetings, and then just slowly over time, like I just worked my way into their circle, and like there's been a crew of them that have like coming up on decades.
For real?
Yeah. Some of them have a decade, and some almost do. Like I'm in a pretty solid pack.
Does it kind of help each other stay accountable and stuff like that to things like you don't? Yeah, that makes sense. Because
you got to find something to do with all your time, right? That's the biggest fear of anybody that's trying to get clean or get sober is like, what am I going to do now? Yeah. And there's a grip of shit to do. So we, within these 12-step programs, you build communities, and they're not always like, sometimes it's like high school, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's very spiritual, sometimes it's petty as fuck, Yeah. You get what you give.
For sure. Well, that's cool, man. I think it's I haven't, my family, we've had drug stuff. I mean, my mom and her brothers went through the 80s, so crack was part of our family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it was coke, then it turned into crack eventually. And, my uncle, he was in and out of jail for most of his, from like 17, 18, 19 till he was damn near 40. And he's been out for like 15, 16 years now. And he's doing fucking great.
Fuck
You know what I mean? But, yeah, it was weird, man, because they'd go down that path because I think for him it was like the only thing that he knew how to do. Like if you
get stuck in them,
like if you the people you hang out with in high school in the past, you go down, it's like it becomes just familiar and comfortable. You know what I mean? Just like being in a bad relationship. This relationship sucks, but you don't leave it because it's still comfortable and you don't want to be alone.
How often do we hear that?
All the time. Yeah.
The false sense of security that comes with a shitty relationship. Yeah. You have that with. I have that with alcohol. That's a crazy thing too. Is like not everybody can be an alcoholic. So you take 100 people and you make them drink every day for 30 days, not everybody's going to be an alcoholic. You give somebody heroin for 30 days, everybody's an addict. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a specialty to have alcoholism and be an addict.
So that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Man, I grew up around it, like I said, so it was always, I was scared of it, man. I saw people go from having shit to not having shit in my teenage years from being around my dad, 'cause my dad used to sell coke to all of them.
Oh, fuck.
And he ended up going to jail my senior year. And I just watched all that. And, of course, I played sports, and I stopped growing in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And I played basketball, so I was like, fuck, man. I didn't want to do anything that was going to, like, stint my ability to grow or anything like that. So never even, to this day, I've never even smoked a cigarette.
You're not missing out. I've smoked plenty for you, bro. I'm smoking Newport 100s since I was like 13 years old. Yeah. I got to recently give it up.
Well, I had my daughter, too, when I was just turned 19. And I think that alone, because I was kind of the more stable one in that relationship, that kept me from drinking, partying, and all that shit in my 20s. And I've talked about it here plenty of times about, I didn't start drinking until I was 29. And, I feel like if I didn't drink for the last 10 years, I probably would have definitely accomplished more. But then there's a lot of things that came. I'm like pro drinking now on this podcast. My bad.
I don't care.
There's just a lot of relationships and things that did come about through, like going to have a beer at bike night, going to have a drink here, being in these circles or whatever. But I wouldn't say it's the drinking. It's just the fact that I was there and it just was on the you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's also part of it, too, because, like, I make terrible decisions with or without alcohol or drugs. Those just, like, happen to encourage my terrible decision-making. Yeah,
you know? 100%. I've definitely been going down this path lately. Like, I I don't like when I get to that place.
Oh yeah.
Like I get a little bit more aggressive, not in a mean way, but just like I think I'm funny kind of way.
Yeah. My buddy used to say it perfectly. I would like get hammered drunk and we'd be out at a club or a bar and I would just walk up to a girl just very seriously like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's like, "That's not a good move, bro. That's not a good opener." Just randomly aggressive for no reason.
That's crazy. I like that though, man. I think it's cool that you guys all found each other through this stuff and created this brand. And then, like I said, I didn't really know much about it till Juan came through and told me what was up and listened to some of the podcasts. And when you guys asked us to be on, that was fun. And I had a lot of people reach out to me saying they loved listening to not just the episode we did together on your podcast, but y'all's podcast in general, because we have a lot of homies that are sober that come around.
Fuck yeah.
Robert Cheeks, Justin,
Yeah.
Dixon Flannel Justin. I don't even know if he wears Dixon Flannels that much anymore, but
Yeah, I don't know. There's 2 or 3 other guys too that I can't think of.
Bruce doesn't drink.
Yeah.
Brucey. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people, but Tommy doesn't drink.
It happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes we like turn the corner and then people are like, there's just either no place in this for my life or like, I've been literally dragging myself to death for the last 15 years. Like, maybe I should give this a shot. Because that's my thing. Like, some people can buy a case of beer and put it in their fridge and have 3 of them and have a great night.
Yeah.
I have to finish every fucking beer in that case.
Yeah.
And then we have to go like rob somebody or find a bag of Coke or like go across the border. I just don't stop.
Yeah, okay.
And that switch is broken.
Yeah.
I don't have any self-control when it comes to it. And as long as I keep that at the forefront and I try to work on myself and become a better person, like things have gotten exponentially better. January 2nd will be 3 years.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I know. And today's the 18th. Tomorrow's your 3 years for the studio.
Yeah.
Pow. Fuck yeah.
But
I'm ringing in the anniversary.
That's awesome. But yeah, so when you guys decided to do this, like, did you guys have an ultimate game plan of where you wanted to take it as far as like the dreams of it? Or were you like one step at a time, let's just get some shirts out there, let's start building a community around it?
Pretty much. So there was no like concise decision of where we were going to take it. Like we didn't know we were going to end up being mostly like Harley bros being into our brand. It just happens to be what we like. But we like all kinds of bikes. We're also into recovery. I have 10,000 hobbies. I go to shows. I do shows. I like to travel. I'm into all kinds of shit. The boys are also into other kinds of shit. It just happened to be that way. And it was just really as we went along, we found what was working. And then like people in the Harley community, like we started catering to that.
That makes sense.
And a lot of recovery people.
Yeah. I don't know why because you just said something I didn't really realize, that you guys didn't necessarily start this to be a Harley-specific brand.
No.
Or a bike-specific brand. It was just kind of like a thing, but it just kind of got adopted like you just said. So, that's wild. I didn't even think about that. Like, because, we get inundated with, like, new shirt companies popping up all the time. And, not to say that, like, I think it's awesome anybody's going out of their way trying to create something. Mm-hmm. It just seems like anytime there's a lot of things happening, you kind of just like, again.
Saturated. Yeah.
But it's like, ultimately, if I was to really, like, talk about how I feel about it, I'm glad someone's trying something. You know what I mean?
1,000%.
But that knee-jerk reaction is still going to be there no matter what. Just like when I hear someone start a podcast, I'm like, okay. But at the same time, I'm like, good for them.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's where I'm at with it, too, because I never want to be known to be holier than thou or anything like that. So if anybody has ever come to me with an idea like, I want to do this, I encourage the fuck out of it. Like, do it. Please do it. Life is short. Do not wake up. That's what I said to myself is I don't want to wake up when I'm 40 and wish I had done this now.
Yeah.
When I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So I encourage everybody. And there's been a grip of clothing brands that have started, and I will say LFG has contributed to that.
Yeah.
And now we're printing their shirts. You know what I mean? So
you're not only just the dealer, you're the supplier.
Come on. We're not new to this.
Yeah.
But no, it's mostly I just want to encourage people. I never want somebody to be like, those guys were pricks, because we're not. We're like some of the most coolest dudes in the world, down to help whoever.
Yeah.
Because not so long ago, that wasn't an option for us. Like, I wasn't going to be of service to anybody. I wasn't going to help anybody.
Yeah.
I gave a fuck about me and what's left in the bag.
Man, that happens to me, man. I go through phases, dude. I do the same shit where I get very self-absorbed and very this has been my biggest struggle. This open up podcast. We're gonna have a therapy
Hey,
session.
come on.
My biggest struggle has been, dealing with like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the word is to describe it, but it's like I grew up in this industry where I would paint a bike and then it'd be on the cover of a magazine and then my name wouldn't be in it, right? So you'd have all these things that most people were being glorified for, and I was doing them but not getting the credit for it, right? Because a lot of the big time chopper shops back in the day, they just, it was painted by so and so, the place that built it, because they want people to come to them to get the paint job.
They're taking your credit.
Yeah, they don't want people to know there's another place that does it. So years of that, years of also like promoting other people, becoming friends with them, giving them some of my resources, and then they get all the opportunities afterwards, right? So it's a little bit of a entitlement. It's a little bit of a I hate to say jealousy, but it kind of resonates in there a little bit. And every once in a while, some shit will happen, and it'll just like poke at that ego that I don't want to exist, but it's there.
That resentment.
And you're like, fuck, man, like, I guess I'll just go fuck myself. You know what I'm saying? And
oh, cool. Fuck me. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it's not. It's like, and it's also weird because, the whole this podcast doesn't exist as me just talking on it. Like it's about you and the other yous that sit in that chair. So it's weird to sometimes have that kind of, shitty thought when you're literally trying to build a business about promoting other people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
So it's a conflict sometimes where it's like, yeah, you're trying to help everybody grow, help everybody get their credit, and then whether or not that demon in the back of my head feels like he got fed enough determines what kind of version of me comes out sometimes. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
and I also feel like I'm still at a point where I can do that.
Yeah.
Like you're busy. Not to say that you're too busy for anybody, but like busy is a broad word. Like my checklist is exponentially larger for you. It would be exponentially larger than it is for me right now. Mm-hmm. Like I got the time to do all that. And I just want for other people, if I keep bolstering them up, when the time comes for them to be like, hey, I'm here now. Do you need anything? I can be like, yes, I do.
See, and I feel like I've done that a lot in my life. And I can tell you there's been some super key people in my life that I've done that for and totally took me with them. You know what I mean? Totally said, come on, man, I got up here. You're coming with me.
Yep.
And then there's been equally amount of those people that have just turned their back. And so friends, not so much family, but mainly friends that, they come and go, whatever, business relationships that come and go. And it just it all kind of piles up over years. I've been in the motorcycle industry almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that I've somehow fucked somebody, even though I've never rightfully like stolen money or taken anything or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure that someone sees like I've done something that blighted them or something. You know what I mean?
And there's three sides to every story.
Yeah.
There's their side, your side, and the truth.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So, but I feel like there's that aspect too where, you have that situation where I know that some people probably feel like I have done something not good to them in the past.
Yeah.
But it's usually like to avoid conflict, I'm just going to stick with my idea of what happened and run with it.
Yeah.
Rather than like talking with someone and say, hey, man, what did you mean by that?
Yeah.
Or dude, can we get past this?
Can we resolve this? No. Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's a lot of the motorcycle industry, man.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a lot of because every shop has an entourage.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that because that's the community that you built that gives those guys something to do to want to be a part of all this stuff. Well, those guys most of my guys are dudes that keep me in check, right?
I love it.
That keep me accountable, and then sometimes they let that leash go a little bit too long. But a lot of times they could be just yes, guys, like dude, you're right, and bolster up that ego, and then you get kind of the big wool bagger industry that we had, where everybody's toxic and everybody's like thinks that everybody's stealing from them, and just kind of like.
And I had those affliction genes first.
Yeah. All that shit. And
all of it.
That was my designer. You stole my paint color idea. And all like just everything. Everybody's out to get everybody shit, right? And you can get that. That's the world that I've come from, and
petty,
yeah. And I could be that way sometimes, but
of course,
You know, I just try to tell everybody, like, look, I wish I could be the best guy that everybody thinks, the best version of me every time I meet somebody. But man, I'm sometimes I'm wore out, man.
I'm right there with you.
Sometimes.
And expectations, please don't
Yeah.
set them.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to be the same guy that I'm on Instagram all the time, or you'll catch
Yeah.
me after my lady just yelled at me on the phone and hurt my feelings about something that I was completely wrong about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So whatever it is.
For sure, man. So when you guys like started rolling with this, like how was the initial response? Like, did you feel like you got like a great feedback? Like you see the growth happening? I mean, how was the first year?
The first year was very much because it's the pandemic. It's
Yeah.
madness. Nobody really knows what to expect. We could all die tomorrow. Who
Yeah.
knew? And in recovery, we're so tight knit that we bought 60 shirts and they were all bought by just either friends and family or people in recovery. And then a majority of San Diego County, like people in wherever they're at in recovery, ride Harleys.
Yeah.
So we started organizing like rides. Like we would meet up at like grocery store parking lots, and then we would go ride to the mountains, and then we'd ride into the desert. And we did a huge one once where we had like 100 bikes on the street.
damn.
And yeah, we went up to Julian, which is like
Yeah.
where the apple pie and all that's the good riding is.
Yeah.
And the CHP was up there because nobody was supposed to be there, was shut down. And we ended up like cockroaches to the
Was
sunlight.
it shut down because of COVID? Like they
Yep.
didn't want people coming through the
There
town?
was the no leave order. Like they had put out a like you can't leave your house order, or the stay at home order. That's what it was.
Damn, like
Yeah.
that shit was. They actually
Oh
did
yeah, I
that?
forget. Y'all live in a free state. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in California, they locked us down and they were like, "Don't leave your house except for things you need to do."
I remember
So-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing stuff, people getting arrested at the beach and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Essential travel. Well, riding my
I remember
Harley's
seeing
essential.
some people trying to do some stuff out there, like on bikes. Fuck, I can't remember who they were. I think it was some of the Dynatrash guys out in Temecula area that were trying to do some rides, and then they were getting hassled at gas stations and stuff like that. So
These dudes apparently were cool because it like splits off, and you go one way to go into the desert and another to go back down the mountain to the 8. And I got halfway down. This dude, Tom the Bear, flew down the mountain and grabbed me. He was like, "It's all good. Head back to the top." And now he's one of our good homies.
For real?
Oh, I fucking love this dude.
Nice.
He's actually coined this new shirt that we're going to put out. It's so you know Juan,
Yeah.
and he crushes miles. And then we have another homeboy, Charlie. And he spent a lot of his life in prison and then got out, and he's been clean for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And he just wants to ride his bike everywhere at 1,000 miles an hour. So
Yeah.
further than Juan, faster than Charlie, Tom the Bear. So we're going to put that on a T-shirt for the old boy.
nice.
Yeah.
Man, that's kind of like, I've ridden that pass through Julian, and I've actually been wanting to spend some more time around what is that Dalton Sea, or what is that?
Salton Sea.
Salton Sea, right.
You know the story on it?
I've watched some YouTube stuff that is pretty interesting, but what's the story on
That's
it?
it. Pretty much what you heard. So it was going to be this huge resort area, and then all the salt in the bottom of it like poisoned it. Or there was I think runoff from a farm, and it like poisoned the water. And now like eventually they say that'll evaporate and kill everybody in the area.
Wow.
But there's a bunch of shanty towns around it too that I've shot videos at. I did.
Yeah, yeah, fucking Slab City.
Well, that's in Nyland. There's actually a Navy SEAL training base over
Yeah.
there, and then there's Slab City. Did you go through that?
I was on this trip, and I was trying to make it there, but I was like, I hate when I do this. Whenever there's something I want to do, and I'm at that crossroad where it's like, kind of want to get there. This is going to add 2 hours to the situation, and so many times in my life I've done the quicker and regretted it.
Right.
So the last year I've been like, no, fuck it, I'm taking the trip.
I'm going. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Slab City's a wild place. There's no laws there.
Yeah.
And then there's Jesus Mountain, which this guy like paints everything and puts Bible quotes on it. It's really beautiful. It's also kind of weird. Then there's like a weird like wall of TVs that have been painted. There's like this museum.
Yeah.
It's a fucking trip. And then you go out and there's like campers of just people who don't want to live off the grid. They want to be left alone, or they want to do meth and peace in the desert.
Yeah.
And they do that. And there's like this old pool that was there, and I went there and skated this pool, and then got out, and the crusty dudes that lived there, they're like, "You want to come to the handlebar?" And I'm like, "What's the handlebar?" They're like, "It's the bar right there." You know what we call it that? I'm like, "'Cause you can't handle the bar." And I walk in there, and there's like 8 Wookiees in there, and they're just looking at me like I'm a piece of meat.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Get me the fuck out of here." I left like half a case of waters. They got the fuck out of there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You can't handle the bar.
You can't handle the bar.
Now there's a lot of other towns. When they're like, there's a lot of other towns along the
Bombay
lakeside.
Beach is the one that I
Yeah.
know of. So I went there with my chick and shot a gnarly like cinematic video.
Yeah.
It looks like shit because Instagram compressed it, but on my laptop it looks great, like we were talking about. Fucking
Well, I want to check some of that out. I haven't ridden all that. I haven't ridden around it. I haven't ridden off of the 10 into like Joshua Tree area at all.
That's awesome.
So
too.
I want to check some of that out. There's just, when you live in Texas and you think about going to California, you always want to go hit the big stuff. I got to go to the beach. Got to go the Julian Pass, and then a couple other ones. What's the Idlewild, things like that, or there's all
Big
those
Bear,
ones, right?
Sierras, Big Sur, all that.
Exactly. So there's so much to do that, like I said, you come to these crossroads where it's like
4-hour detour.
Yeah.
Get home on a reasonable.
Get
The
there.
10 through Palm Springs sucks though because
Yeah.
the wind blows so bad. I don't care if you're on a road glide, that fucker will tip you over.
I got stuck one year leaving Venice, headed to Arizona Bike Week, poured on in the desert from like pretty much Palm Springs to Blythe or whatever that is right there. Just the most gnarly rainstorm I've ever, and it's in the desert, so you're worried about flooding and flash floods and shit.
Yeah.
So it was pretty wild. And then also rode through that desert at 120 degrees before. So
You couldn't go fast enough to get
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. It's brutal. They did so we do an annual trip, and I've been in the car business for the last 2 years of it. So they did Tombstone, Arizona,
Yeah.
and that was like a race on the 8.
there's
And
nothing
nothing going on.
Yeah.
And they did that, and then they did Laughlin last year, and that was cool. And now I'm like, I literally this weekend have been thinking like, we've been talking about Big Sur, but I'm like, what about Vegas? And maybe we could get some merch in Red Rocks. We could get some merch in Red Rocks, and we'll bring 40 bikes there. It's easy to get accommodations.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna hear this and be like, "Fuck that, we're going to Big Sur."
yeah. Big Sur's fucking badass.
Oh
dude.
God, it's so good.
Yeah,
I haven't rode it yet, but I've been there.
We camped there one year, and it was amazing. It was just being on that coast. It's dark. I mean, some of the darkest skies you'd see. The trees are tall. They're not as tall as they are in the Pacific Northwest, but they're tall. You can just hear the ocean still, even in the campground. And there's rivers kind of coming in or little streams. It's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Gas is high as hell. But
oh
it's
my
beautiful.
God, they get you. They know.
Yeah.
Yeah, come enjoy this beauty.
Dude, I get, I love PCH. I love all those beach towns all the way up the coast. Just they feel like an escape from all what's down there, with the LA and all the hustle of all these different big ass towns. But man, I'll tell you what, just these small towns like Cambria and Morro Bay and
Yeah, Morro Bay is awesome.
Pismo Beach. Like,
We did Dustin's bachelor party there. That was one of
For
our
real?
first big rides. We took like 16 dudes and ripped up to Pismo in one night.
Nice.
Well, we stayed in Ventura and then we ripped up there.
fun, dude. It's just
It was
awesome
rad.
out there. Yeah. It feels cluttered though. Like once you hit, Ventura all the way down to the border, it feels like you're constantly in something.
Yep.
It's like that day we ripped down to see you guys. Like we rode the beach damn near half the day, didn't we? Like on the way down and got a hotel in like forget what town that was.
Encinitas, maybe.
Encinitas, I
I
think.
lived there for a while. It was beautiful.
Yeah. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
It's a good spot.
That used to be like a
Perfect little-
rundown biker town.
It was?
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Picked a good one then.
Yep.
He got a haircut there, didn't you?
Haircut, did some laundry.
There's that restaurant bar right across the street from the hotel.
Yeah, we had whiskey.
Yeah.
And what kind of food was it?
Bar food.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, it was probably good.
Yeah. Bar food's always good.
Some egg rolls or something, maybe is what I had.
But yeah, it was I like it too. Now, I do like the beaches down towards you guys versus like LA. Like you feel like you're more close to them.
Yep.
As opposed to up there, it's like I guess because Long Beach is such a port town, like there's not much beach vibes over there. That I don't know.
My opinion, Orange County's all right, and nothing personal against them. It's just like it's so far away from where I've lived. I've lived either in the IE or I've lived in San Diego. I haven't experienced enough awesome things in LA to be super pro LA, but I got nothing against it. It's
Yeah.
just not my favorite place to go because the traffic's gnarly, and I met the times I did go, I met a lot of pretentious people, and that nothing rubs me more raw than that.
Yeah, for
You know what
sure.
I mean?
Well, that's Dallas's thing. Keep Dallas pretentious.
Well, I went and watched the Philadelphia Eagles whoop some ass today, surrounded by Dallas fans, and I did not get quiet. And y'all lost to Jacksonville. Wow.
All right, cut it.
Oh, no.
That one hurt a little bit. No, it's so our buddy Adam told us this that it's keep Austin weird, keep Houston hood, and keep Dallas pretentious.
Yeah.
I don't get that vibe here. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure certain
Living
people,
here is probably different, but it's like I didn't know what to expect when I got here, and I came in. It was crazy because I missed it. We were 2 ships passing in the night. I left Sturgis early this year.
Yeah.
'Cause I was selling bikes up there, and I got the opportunity to do 2 shows in Dallas.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
And I hitch up, hey, I'm coming down. Do you want to come to these shows? Which I was kind of like, because they were like, one was like a Taylor Swift night, which is fun, but like, I don't know if you're going to want to go to Dallas or Taylor Swift night or emo night, which is my personal favorite. But
Yeah.
next, side by side, I did disco last night in Fort Worth, and they got buck wild. It was gnarly.
Those songs, disco songs, are songs from that era. Like that's gonna get in people's feels more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if Taylor Swift's gonna do that for me.
But
I couldn't tell you one song she's ever sung.
I bet you if I played one,
I'm sure you could play it. I know the song, but I don't know.
You're not going out of your way. Yeah.
I couldn't. Yeah.
Money. They pay me to fly and do these shows, and the people that come are hyped. Like, I feed off of that.
Nice.
That's what it is for me doing these shows. Is like, I just want to make people happy. For so long, I was a disappointment, and now I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that being that way. Like, you want to put something out there that people enjoy. It makes
Hell
you feel
yeah.
like you're valuable. You know what I'm saying, or something like that.
Not that I want to find my worth in making people happy, but it brings me joy to see fucking people stoked.
Yeah.
Life is short, man.
Life's a garden.
Dig it, brother.
How long have you been doing the DJ thing?
6 months.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I literally quit. I quit the car dealership, or I forced them to fire me so I could get a little unemployment. My buddy worked there at one point. My old roommate worked there, and he was like, "What's going on? There's something up with you." And I was like, "Well, I want to start a print shop and take the clothing brand and the podcast to the next level." And the DJ company, they offered me like a full-time traveling position. He was like, "So what do you need from me?" I was like, "I need you to fire me." And he was like, "Whatever." And he did it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I've been doing that like full-time.
So how does one, not to give away all the sauce, but how does one decide, like, I want to go be a traveling DJ?
I did their emo night show in San Diego for free for a long time.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So
I
you
helped
put in
out a
work.
buddy, like, hype up the crowd, and they were like, after years, I hit him up and was like, "What's up with a position like being able to travel?" They're like, "Yeah, it's about time. We've been seeing you in our photos for like the last 2 years," and I still haven't met the 2 dudes who own it. I haven't met them yet.
Yeah.
But I talk to them every week.
So what? So these like venues will hit up this more or less DJ production company.
So it's a little reversed engineered than that. So they started the Emo Night Brooklyn show in Brooklyn, and then they started getting booked to take it different places in the East Coast. And then they came out with a different party called Gimme Gimme Disco, and then Best Night Ever. And now they have like 7 different party themes, and they have like a crew. A lot of it is like their friends or people that came to shows that same way I did that wanted to get on, and like that's their staff, and now they work with a booker, and they do their own booking, I'm sure, and they just hit up different, like I was
So what are these venues? Are they like concert venues?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, like House of Blues in San Diego, House of Blues in Anaheim. I was in Canada every weekend in November.
Wow.
It was rad.
Nice.
Canada's rad.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah, that's wild, man. Like, so are you just like? I mean, I want to say just like. Do you get to fucking mix it together? Like, how does?
Yeah, it's a little bit of mixing. It's not like when you go to the club though.
Yeah.
Because people are here to hear like specific bands, specific songs, and they want to hear that. So you end up playing some songs through. But the disco, you can mix in a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I definitely do flow. Like I flow with the beats per minute. Like bring it up, then come down. Bring it up, then come down.
I knew there was like more of an art to that because you watch like some of those. I don't know. I guess more of the rave style DJing that they would do. Like you could tell how those tones would bring those people into energy and lows and highs.
Oh, yeah.
And feed into all that stuff.
And for that music, you have to, or you'll
Yeah.
kill people. The ecstasy will fry their fucking brain. We've been jacking it 150 beats per minute for fucking 20 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
Turn it down.
Yeah, let's just.
Give me a break.
Yeah, that's wild, man. So what do you like? How does the like? Do you feel like there's a big future in it as far as like growing things like that, or is it kind of like it's just fun?
I'm riding this wave for now. I definitely say there's potential for me to do my own shows, maybe.
Yeah.
If that's something I wanted to do, because it's lucrative, like that's for sure.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm really grateful for the position I do have, and it's paying the bills. And like they just doubled my pay.
Hell yeah.
Really stoked on that. But I also kick serious ass, so I feel like it was warranted. So I'm just grateful for now.
Yeah.
Like I want to give them any ideas that I'm like,
Leaving.
yeah, I'm
I hear you.
hitting the road.
That's cool. So you said on top of the DJing, when did you guys decide you wanted to kind of invest into the whole self-printing type
So
situation.
Dustin and I got a personal loan to just start the print shop. Mostly because he just bought a house. He literally in like a matter of 2 months, he bought a house, had a kid, and opened a new business. We opened a screen printing shop in his house.
Nice.
Yeah, and bought all the equipment. And he got like 30 solar panels put on his roof. And
They're going to think you're growing weed in there, dude.
oh, they do. They do. The neighbors are anti-stoked. There's always bikes pulling up at random times of the day. It's eventful.
That's wild. So what about like that? That's always been the concept. You want to make a lot of T-shirts. It makes sense to get into the printing side of it yourself, just to kind of cut the costs and stuff.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's also what about the artwork, like making the screens and things like that? Like how complicated has that been?
So before I convinced him to do this, I guilt tripped him into doing this. I'd put about 10 hours of YouTube University into it. And I was like, I'm going to be one of the best screen printers there ever was. And I was wrong, but we're learning.
Yeah.
It's all a huge process, and there's no like, and this might be the same for paint. One fuck up is not a 2-minute fix. One fuck up is 30 minutes to an hour fix.
Yeah.
Like, and you're going all the way back.
Yeah. So did you get like the automated system one, or are you still kind of like running?
Oh no, it's a manual press. We're doing it
for
ourselves.
sure.
I sit there and pull that thing down and dream of having an auto press. Those things, like all in the setup's like 150 racks. Man. And I ain't that papered up. Not yet. One day.
Shit, neither am I. Yeah, but, like putting together like 15, 20 grand, you can probably see some of that. That's a little bit more obtainable to kind of start a business like that. But yeah, I looked into it. I was thinking about it heavily for a while. And like I know how to do artwork digitally, but I'm definitely not a digital artist, right?
Yeah.
I know how to solve a couple problems. You know what I mean?
That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, like I can, a lot of the paint stuff we do, I work with vectors to draw like, words, logos, things like that. And I've drawn all my own logos, but I have a hard time liking it for at least 6 months. So I'll do something badass. It's cool. It's done. And then I put it aside, and then I just come back and I'll redraw it again. And then one day it just clicks.
Do you draw on the iPad?
No, I draw like on paper.
Oh, shit. So, okay.
Yeah, it's rulers, all that shit. I have a architectural background. Not that I was ever an architect, but I was studying it in high school and a little bit of college.
Okay.
So pens and paper, and I haven't drawn, like physically sat here and draw someone since probably Titanic came out. But
come here, French girl.
I think if I really wanted to get into it, I could probably draw you, like sit here and sketch you. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
But digital art is the same concept, like on an iPad, like the
Procreate. Oh, they're crushing.
It's the same thing. Like it's just getting used. Like pencil and paper, there's grit, there's resistance.
Yeah.
Which helps you steady your hand. Like when people are like, "Oh, I have a shaky hand, I could never do that." Well, that 3 points of contact makes it to where you can kind of do things a little bit easier.
Got it.
And not over pull lines, blah blah blah. But I wanted to, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a comic book artist, right? So I used to always draw comics, and then I kind of got good, but then I didn't see a future in comics. So I was like, well, I want to be creative, so went down the architectural path, because in our school we had a lot of vocational classes like cosmetology, welding, mechanics, auto body, ag, and then they had drafting and design. So I was like, that's cool. So that also gave me a little bit of computer experience, so I'm not computer illiterate.
Yep.
I still peck.
I am not the best at it. I'm like you said, a problem solver.
Yeah. Figuring out how to do all this damn podcast stuff was it was a lot of problem solving. And right now, as I'm trying to make this new kit to travel with, it's still problem solving.
Yep.
Because the questions I'm asking people on YouTube, or I'm trying to find the answers to, I'm like, there's no way I'm the only person trying to do this.
Finding information for video, near impossible.
Yeah.
You literally just got to go pull the trigger on $5,000 worth of stuff and be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's our next step. And I'm like, I'm super inspired. Again, I just want to take a second. Thank you for coming out on this Sunday and having me on the show, man. Dude. I'm so fucking grateful.
I was grateful when you asked us to come down and do the podcast in San Diego.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were just like, all right, we'll see what's up.
No, it's one of those things, man. Like I said, I think I've said this recently on the podcast, but just for the hell of it.
You have.
Okay.
Well, I'm just
I'll
saying.
go fuck myself.
No,
No.
I'm saying.
Jaden.
Say it, it's a good point. Say it again.
I'll do anybody's podcast that's starting. I'll do it. I'll help because I wish that some of the higher ups would do that for me now.
Yes.
And so if I want that to be the reality, then I have to be that for people too. You know what I mean?
See, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I got to kick it down to be able to get it again. We say that in the rooms. I can only keep what I have by giving it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I've helped a lot of people start podcasts. Gave them the.
I mean, that right there. Just buy that.
Yeah. I mean, but even before that came out, like when we were doing it with just the Zoom
mixed board.
No, we were the Zoom audio recorders like that. They use them in like music production a lot.
Oh, it's blue and it looks almost identical to that.
I know
exactly what you're talking about.
It's a small 4-input XLR microphone setup, and you can. I mean, it's slightly bigger than my phone, right? And plug it in. You got to, my brother. I've said it a million times. My brother, he mixed and mastered music because he played band and all that stuff, and he would make beats before that. So he showed me how to fuck with the audio a little bit, and I'm still not very good at it. So I try to get it as perfect as possible. In film we would say in camera before post, and editing and stuff like that. So I try to make it as good as I can from here, so that I don't have to do too much on the computer.
Yeah, and the platform makes it really easy with the de-esser and the equalizer. Like that makes it really simple. Like I told you, I started using Adobe Audition, and there's so much to it. Like I cut my teeth on Lightroom, obviously, and then Premiere was in a whole different beast. I opened up After Effects one time, closed it immediately. I'd just pay somebody to do that.
Well, the good thing about it, and I think you've kind of shown this to be the example, is all these things you can do, and there's fucking master classes on YouTube how to do everything. Skillshare. There's so. I mean, YouTube's free though. Like you can just go there.
That's
and learn
where I'm at.
right?
Yeah.
So anytime I hear people thinking like, oh, I want to start getting into video editing or making videos, I'm like, dude, instead of watching fucking House of Dragon, spend an hour a day watching videos and taking notes or trying it, doing this, and it's like it's not that complicated.
My chick has learned so much useless information because I abuse YouTube.
Yeah,
I watch all kinds of there'll be a time we're watching Russian graffiti. Yeah, there's a couple dudes that I love to watch that literally go around Russia tagging the shit out of it, and I think it's awesome. Or I watch Lee Stewart for screen printing and like Adobe Illustrator design, or Peter McKinnon for photos, or maybe I want to veg out and I watch Fast Life.
Yeah, there you go. So it's one of those situations, man, where I feel like if people, I don't know when I had this realization, but I started thinking one day, because there's some things like that you just walk by that happens every day. So highway construction, buildings being built, houses being built.
How it happens.
To me, if you said, hey, go build that house right now with my current knowledge, I'm fucked, right? Mm-hmm. But that's like such a common thing that it can't be that hard to figure out, right? Not saying I can figure out how to build a house real quick, but being a mason, understanding how to be an electrical AC guy, all these things are common jobs that I'm not saying you can just walk in off the street and have it figured out in a day, but you can obtain the knowledge within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
And that could be a reality for you. And it's a skill, as opposed to like these people that are jobless or they don't know where they want to go with things, but they want this office job or they want this job that's like pushing papers and numbers. It's like, dude, learn a skill on YouTube and you can go out there, and the amount of time you're going to like eat shit for a year.
Yep.
But you're still, you're adding equity to who you are and what you can do, and you'll make money in these careers. You know what I'm saying?
Whether or not it works out. Because down the line, somebody's going to ask if somebody can do something, and you're going to be able to raise your hand and be like, I can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But just like I feel like once you have a solid skill that you are proficient at solving problems in that skill, which is where the money's at, is being a problem solver.
Always.
It gives you the luxury to be able to step outside of that and go try other things in life, because you have now raised the floor of how far you're going to fall down if this doesn't work, right? Yep. So I've always looked at it like this with paint. A lot of painters, custom painters, they're graphic artists, or they're airbrush artists, or they're pinstripers, or they're just a guy that knows how to paint, right? So there's lots of different jobs in that. And when I came in this game, painters weren't friends. So
I've heard it's so. One of my best friends is Rude Paint. You got
Yeah.
to see some of his work. It's
we saw some at the dealership that time.
Yeah, man.
It was front and center. It looked really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Dude means a lot to me.
Yeah.
So he's not only my neighbor, but I'm also in his wedding. And
Oh, shit.
yeah, so we're doing his bachelor party. We're going to Laconia this year. But
Nice.
he painted my bike. But I've watched his progression, and I've also heard everything he said. And some people are fucking really cool that have a good name. And then he's like, everybody also equally fucking hates each other because he came up under a dude who does like Vikla style like cars,
Yeah.
like low riders and stuff. And he said, dude is ruthless out there. It's fucking hard.
I mean, we've had painters on here before that would do like classes and teach, and then complain that people were still in their style. I'm like, you taught them.
You literally gave him keys to the
like-
kingdom.
And I've always tried to tell painters is like, I've had my paint jobs. I don't want to say ripped off like I'm mad. I've had them ripped off a lot, mainly overseas, like to the T. It's like,
Really?
goddamn.
Like Europe?
Europe, Malaysia, Thailand, all that stuff.
Really?
But what's crazy is like I like it
Flattery is the biggest
Yeah.
or imitation is the biggest form
because
of flattery.
in a way it makes you feel like fuck, I made it. Man.
Yeah.
Like-
knocking me off.
Exactly,
This-
because when I was younger, when I was getting in this, I was fucking knocking off OG Abel, trying to learn how to airbrush like he did, and all these famous artists back in the day. It's like, yeah, I got to a point where I wouldn't allow myself to, more or less plagiarize other people's art. You know what I mean? But when I was coming up, it was like I wanted to be able to do that. That was my idol, to be able to airbrush that good or be able to pull off that paint job. Graphically, I'd always do my own thing, but an OG, who OG Abel is, right?
I don't.
So he kind of came up under cartoon.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
cartoon, he's a big graffiti.
Yeah.
He never tattooed OG Abel, but he's like literally one of the baddest artists.
He's tattooed all
No, he would draw the tattoo for like $7,000 for you to then go get tattooed.
Wow.
Yeah, the dude's he's a badass.
Yeah, I've seen his documentary with the what is his
that's
photographer's name?
tattoo. That's
Mr. Cartoon?
Mr. Cartoon, but this guy OG Abel came up under Mr. Cartoon.
Okay.
So
So Abel would draw the $7,000 sticker pretty much.
exactly.
Damn, that's thug.
Because in the lowrider community, what's always made the hood mural so badass, it's not so much that like, oh, that's a hot chick. It's the scene that it's painted.
Yep.
Which is what makes it so badass. And I kind of started going down that path, and I was really enjoying it. But man, that's a lot of fucking anxiety. And it's one thing to be able to like airbrush one badass, portrait of a pit bull and a skull holding money and a chick, but then you got two cars in there hopping, and then the city's you got this perspective thing going on, and it's just wild. And so I was like, that's way out of my league.
Have you seen Pork Dizzle's bagger? White and red road glide.
I feel like I know that name. I'm sure I have.
You have. He has like
Yeah.
the 7. He has on every panel on it. There's an airbrush like scene of hell, like
Okay.
level of hell. And I look at it, I'm like, whoever did this, because it's all red. It's like airbrushed in red and then candied red, and you have to get up in there. But you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like the margin of error just seems so small. It's so impressive. Like
sure.
art has always blown me away.
Yeah, and man, the guys that can create a logo and get paid off that, I like that.
Oh yeah, like timeless logos.
Yeah, just a good logo. It's like, man, all right,
barn
$5,000. Like I hit up this one dude that was doing some badass logos. I think the style's kind of played out right now, and no disrespect to this guy as an artist, but it seemed like every tattoo shop went this route with like
Traditional.
this more typography that they got real popular. Very, I don't know the word, like eclectic, like very elegant looking, and it just not every tattoo shop looks like it has this kind of vibe instead of like the heavy metal, like black metal band kind of stuff. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But they, how would you say it? I hit him up one day. I was like, dude, these artworks you've done are amazing. Like, what do you think it is for you to create one for me? And he's like, it starts at $5,000 for the logo. And I
To
was
start.
like, yeah. And so if you want that, and then you want like a monolith or
monogram, yeah.
monogram. That's like another $1,000 or $2,000 or something like that. So, I mean, some brands out there will charge stupid money for this, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing happened in photography when I started going down, figuring out that world. It's like,
That's a super saturated one.
it's saturated a lot, but the ones that figured out how to make money and got with the right brands,
Yeah.
they would say like, look, this picture can be free, $3,000, $5,000, or $20,000, depending on what you're going to do with it.
That makes sense.
So if it's going to be on a billboard across the whole world and you're going to make this a massive, then what I'm doing is providing you something that's going to help you make money.
Yep.
20 grand.
Yep. Shoot that.
You know, if you just want this for you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Go
Your
on
family
Instagram,
portraits. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever. So it's a wild world.
Yeah. I haven't picked up my camera in a while. I taught my girl how aperture and shutter speed works.
Yeah.
And now she takes the photos.
That's dope, yeah.
But sometimes she'll be like, "Can you get this right?" So then I dial it in, and then she takes these bomb ass photos, and then of course her post work is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's how it got started. I would take all the photos, and then she would, because I didn't like editing.
Yeah.
And she had a really good style, so she would edit our photos.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, find a way to get them involved.
Yeah.
A lot of the homies, man, like Jaden got a filter or got a damn app on his phone now, and he's out there hitting bangers all day long.
Oh boy.
But I get it. It's fucking addictive. Like when you start creating something.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
And you get like the teal and orange presets. Like we've all abused certain shit in Lightroom. The look.
Yeah.
I like, and like everyone's different too. At the same breath, like I like really contrasty shit, and I like deep blues. I like it cool.
That's kind of Chopsky style. You know what I mean? He has,
But he goes into Photoshop. His workflow. I watched a lot of his videos because I'm a nerd like that, and his like time lapse workflows. Fuck.
Yeah.
Like
They're
I'm not
dip.
that good.
And it's crazy because whenever I would hang out, he hung out here. It's like he shot some photos around. Like we went out and rode around, and then like a month later, he's like, "Hey, here's one of the photos." I'm like, "God damn, you're just now getting around." But he'll go out and shoot photos so much that he needs time to go through and put 30 minutes to an hour and a half into each photo, you know, in editing to make it kind of have that style. You know what I mean? Because obviously it's not in camera. You know what I mean?
Oh no.
So,
but he's had a great fucking year. I've been watching his
killing
count
it.
blow up.
He's in that boat too, where he's like,
Shout out Buffalo. I was born
sure,
there.
hell yeah.
You been?
I've been there. Yeah,
I could tell.
it's a dope spot, man. I dig it.
B-Lo.
He's in that same spot where he's like getting to that line or to that fork in the road of, all right, do I go full time into this creative passion that's given me so much joy in my life, or stay in this security of you know, working in the nuke industry? You know what I'm saying?
Damn. So that's a big crossroad though. Mine's not that big. I feel like where we're at with the clothing brand, we're at the tipping point of scaling up or being stuck with the same 6 bins of merch, which it just we've taken all the necessary risks. It's just going to be pushing forward. And 2023 is going to be a fat fucking year, and we're going to do every event we can.
Nice.
And scale this motherfucker.
Have you thought about doing things like in more of a collection or like a seasonal collection drop type situation? Or
I have been pushing that,
because
that's my history working at Zoomies for a long time. If you know me, I'm your typical Zoomies employee. Hey, what up, dog? How you doing? Fucking.
What's that, Trevor Wallace dude?
Yes, bro. He nails it. Straight up for free. What up, bro? You need some help? Look for some t-shirts? Diamond Supply? What's up, my guy? Yeah. Shout out. My name's Braden, dude. But all those big hype brands, they do fall collections, some spring collections, summer.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would be better for us to pull together 6 designs, do 100 pieces of each, versus because none of us are we're not artistically creative. We don't design most of our stuff. We come up with the idea, pay somebody to bring it to us, and then we drop it. And then we do another one, and then we drop it. Mm-hmm. And what happens is, and then we're doing shows on top of that. So our inventory is always, we're just cycling through it. And then now that we're printing it, having to replace it. Mm-hmm. Like our next big show is January 14th. It's the Builtwell Parts and Labor event. And we did the first one last year, and it was fucking awesome. And now they've got double the size, and there's going to be double the people. And we fucking...
Where do they have... What's the info on that show?
So it's at the Del Mar Fairgrounds.
Okay.
And that's all I know. It's $10 at the door. You should show up. They're giving away a bike. Speed Kings built a bike.
Nice.
And there's a modern bike show, adventure section, I think sporty and classic. But I'm just wondering does FXR on fall into the modern again? I don't know yet.
Yeah.
That happened last year. Everybody, FXR and on was mushed together.
It happens, man. The show, people take the shows out of it. Just call it a fucking show and shine, man.
True. Cash and carry.
Trophies are overrated.
Yeah. I'm watching my boy get trophies, and it's stoking that flame.
Oh, trust me, I understand that aspect of it, but you know, if for those that only are there because they want to win trophy, that's the toxic energy you want to get away from. You know what I mean?
There's so much of this industry that I haven't seen or haven't
Yeah.
been, or maybe been ignorant to, and I'm okay with that because I'm having a fucking kick-ass time. There's a lot of ego, but you'll deal with that anywhere.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I roll with some savages, so I'm not really tripping.
What's awesome is that when you find someone that's really accomplished something in life, and they've also learned, or maybe they were one of the people that never had to deal with their ego. Like it was never came up. They just were naturally just super well-rounded. Like we have a guy here in Dallas, Corey, Main Drive, such a badass builder. So every time I hang around this dude, I want to be a better person like he is. Just attentive, just everything about this guy, right? Super nice. And
There's another guy that doesn't drink.
Hey, shout out to you, Corey.
Donnie as well.
Donnie, that's right. So it's like, but just I mean, he's just I like being around those type of people because it makes me see like who I want to be like. You know what I'm saying?
1000%.
And how do we get on that shit again? We need to stop talking about it.
Oh, am I just bringing out the best in you, Jace? What's up, dog?
I did have a question about the brand.
Yeah.
You guys are in San Diego Harley, right?
We're in El Cajon Harley, San Diego Harley. We're dropping merch off in Biggs, and then we have a sit down this week with Coronado to lock down all 4 San Diego dealerships.
So how did that come about? Because that's something we've talked about it before in here, at least in the Dallas area. I can't speak for Austin and maybe some of the other areas. We don't have a lot of dealership working with brands,
Outside
street
sources,
yeah.
exactly. And it seems like in California, they're a lot more willing to partner up with you guys and give you all a shot, which I think is fucking rad. How did that come apart? Did you guys hit them up? Did they see what y'all were doing?
I worked
Hit you
there.
up?
So I worked at San Diego Harley for quite a while, and we actually did like we had our screen at the time. We had our screen printer do like $2,500 worth of merch, and we were going to drop it off. Some of it had fucking in it because Elegy is Let's Fucking Go, 1904's SD San Diego, and I had just started. They poached me from the Cadillac store I was working at, and they were like, "We will give you a manager spot, and we're going to pay you this amount of money to come and work here. You just got to quit your job and come." And I was like, "Cool." And I went and did that. A month passed. They didn't give me the job. They did give me the money, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just ride this out. I'm trying to get my merch in here." Mm-hmm. I go to drop off the merch, and the GM's like, "Oh, I'm not paying for that." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Needless to say, I got a position selling bikes at Sturgis the first year, and they were like, "If you leave on that vacation, you don't have a job when you get back." I was like, "See you when I get back. Have my check ready."
Yeah.
He got fired a week later. Same with the other fucking jabroni that worked there too. Fuck both of you if you're listening to this. I don't think you're cool enough to listen to this, so no issues there. And the merch manager who had got hired on, she said, "As soon as that guy's gone, I'll bring your shit in here." And Lindsay has fucking held it down for us.
Nice.
And then as soon as that happened, our boy Jason works at El Cajon, and he had been harping on this.
Yeah.
And this was the ammo he needed to go to the GM and be like, "See, I fucking told you we should have done this."
Yeah.
And we were in El Cajon the next week.
Nice.
And then we just went on like a 5-store trip. We went to Orange County, we went to Quaid, we went to Riverside and Temecula. Orange County and Biggs. Orange County, Temecula, and Biggs all said yes. And then Coronado Beach, Orange County, and Temecula are all owned by the Wise Group.
Yeah.
So you get one, you get them all.
That's not bad.
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, it's not easy. And there's I'm used to dealing with rejection, so I don't mind going face to face 10 times.
Yeah.
And the boys have my back, and they have me like, "Graff, turn it on, get in there, fucking go seal the deal." And so we've just been pushing. Like, I seen all the, if my plan was to go to, there's a dealership in Fort Worth on the way down here. I got a photo. There's a Buffalo Wild Wing in front of it. Big motherfucker.
Oh, Texas Harley.
Bingo. I was going to go up in there, kick open the fucking doors, be like, "My name's B. Graff, and I'm with LFG. We're ready to bring this shit to Texas. What's up?" And then the other spot that was closer to here,
Longhorn?
if it wasn't Longhorn, it was like
Maverick? Maybe?
Maverick. That was it. But I meant to hit you up too, but I just knew you had so much going on. I didn't want to bother you with
There's lots of good people that work in the dealerships here, but the way that they're ran is just, it might be beneficial for them as far as selling bikes and whatnot, but it's not really, man, you know what, I don't even want to go out and say that. It just feels like a little bit too pretentious a little bit, but for all the things that our brand and all the homies do and all the things, the bike nights and all the shit, they've never supported all of that. But anytime they have a performance bike night, they want us to put it out there for them, and
they want the attention.
they want us to drive people to their dealerships and whatnot. And then we show up and they're like big wheel bagger contests and stereo competitions. It's like, bro, this isn't performance bike night at your dealership. This is just another
bike show.
It's another normal day for you guys.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. It's my hometown. I gotta stop talking shit about them. But
What's your dream situation?
Dream situation is happening now with my man Tommy getting back here in Texas. You know what I mean? Someone that understands the value of what not just myself but all the homies nationwide that we connect with. You know, even Juan and you guys out there. It's like we ride Harley Davidsons and we all need the dealerships to kind of represent us a little bit more. And you know, maybe we've already got the bike. We need more from them.
We need to the motor company needs to turn the page.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it. I feel like they want to cater to this next generation of rider, but they're also still catering to the previous generation. And I feel like they're dialed though.
I feel like they skipped our generation. I feel like they love the boomers and then they skipped over anything to do with
Gen X and then me, the beginning of the millennials.
I feel like they just said, fuck millennials. Let's just do Gen X. Let's do that. Now let's focus on Generation Y, I guess, is the most recent one.
Are you 82?
I'm 82. So
you're the end of 83 is Gen X.
Yeah. No. It's
It is?
81 to 96.
Oh,
is,
shit.
Is millennial.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Gen
in the
X.
fucking heartbeat of that.
Yeah. So,
Which isn't a bad thing, also, I might add.
Yeah.
People shit on us millennials, but it's Gen Z that you're really talking about.
well, it's just different. I mean, like Gen Z's growing up with iPads in their hands and
Fucking crazy.
you know, not really wanting to go outside or whatnot. But you know, the thing is, I don't know. I feel like that they haven't put as much emphasis into our culture of our age demographic. You know what I mean? As they have in the older ones, and you know what I mean. And now the younger ones. Well, not even younger ones. I feel like that. Put it like this. I'm scrambling. I'm making it confusing. They change their marketing stuff every 6 months, so they don't even know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, they keep
You know what
switching
I'm saying?
CEOs too.
CEOs, like, they don't have it together. It's like, this is the one thing that, you know, guys like Tommy that's now at Cowboy Harley, this is the kind of shit we talk about, is that dealerships, the motor company, all these things, they have to start planting seeds for it to grow instead of thinking they're planting seeds for fucking fast food to come out. You know what I mean? It doesn't
True.
work that way. You know, if you want to build a demographic of riders, then you have to build it up slowly. What they have done is they did do that with the women generation. Like, they started really emphasizing it. And I don't know how much that played in as far as Harley in general, or if it was more of the babes ride out or the women's riding groups that kind of came along. But their shit's booming, and their shit's growing and going, man.
Yeah.
But all these dealerships, like, they want to implement something and they want immediate returns on things, and it just doesn't work that way.
Livewire.
Exactly. Like, they should have kept that going longer.
Now
Put
it's its
more
own entity, and they could the new CEO that replaced the guy who came out with it I feel like he could care less about that.
Well, same thing. It's like right now they have that. They're at their own crossroads with the Pan America. Like, are you going to continue to funnel some more money in that, so that's a major player in the adventure bike market, or did you not get a quick enough return on this investment that you're just going to scrap it? You know what I mean?
No, they'll double down and put it into the Bronx. They'll bring the Bronx back. Or the Street Fighters or whatever.
I feel like it's a good bike. You just got to. They need to probably drop a smaller version of it. You know, a 750 version that's maybe a little bit smaller, that it can get more, you know, maybe more women riders or more younger guys that don't necessarily want a $20,000 dirt bike. You know what I'm saying?
True. I like the Pan America.
I do too.
But if I had to take my pick, if somebody offered me the BMW version of it, it'd be hard to say no.
Yeah. I mean, they have a bigger
or a KTM.
network. Yeah. I don't know. That's all I'd say. I feel like people, you know, it takes 5 years to make something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can see profit in 2 months or 2 weeks, but for it to really stick and be able to, you need to put 5 years into something before you decide whether or not it's been your waste of your time or not.
And I feel like they don't listen that well
Yeah.
to like the needs of the market, what we're asking for on these new models, and they're like, paint it black, charge $7,000 more.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like right now they probably hit the mark more than they have in the past as far as releasing bikes that are more appealing to us. The price points have been kind of whacked, but who knows if they're just they they were preparing for inflation. So like, hey, let's get these normal bikes in the $30,000 range. But
or they got to bounce back from the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily believe that either, because I was in car sales and boy business was a booming.
Yeah.
We were crushing people, whether it was on Harleys or a Cadillac.
yeah.
Sorry, that's the name of the game. I keep looking at this camera like, it's the name of the game, player.
So yeah, it's one of those situations where you just kind of wonder if, I mean, I'm seeing more kids that are 20-something year olds riding around on, you know, Road Glide S's and STs and
Yeah.
you know, what's the other one? The STs, El Diablos and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're there. People are gonna buy them, but
Support your local painter. Just buy a or a Lowrider S and have your local painter paint it, because that dude's probably struggling, getting along. No need to buy the El Diablo.
yeah, you'll get some dumbass number that doesn't even sound cool.
Yeah, 467.
You didn't get the 666 one, number one, or 1500 or 1000.
Yeah,
or like just a cool number, like
Yeah.
333.
Do you have a favorite number?
15.
4.
4.
Yeah.
Why?
It's the Chinese number for death.
That's dark.
Fuck yeah, it is. There's no fourth floor in China.
Oh, for real?
Yep. Same with 13. There's no 13th
here,
floor.
yeah.
Why 15? Is that your basketball number?
Lost my virginity at 15.
Yes.
Nah, it was my basketball number growing up.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, just fucked with it.
Nice.
Looked cool on the jersey.
It does. 1-5.
Yep.
There he goes again. Dog, I had Goldie's Barbecue, and I know you didn't know about this. I got to bring this up. #1 barbecue in Texas Monthly. For the next 5 years, this place is #1. We waited 45 minutes, and I had the best brisket I've ever had in my life.
How does that work? How does he automatically for the next 5 years though?
So, Texas Monthly. Why am I telling you about Texas shit?
Because you're interested in it.
I am. So there's this Texas Monthly, and every 5 years they do the best barbecue, top 100
only 5
spots.
years, okay.
Yep. So then they'll go back through it and revote it, and a grip of them are in the Fort Worth, Dallas area.
Yeah.
Snows, Panther City, and then Goldie's is #1, and it was worth they didn't miss, bro.
For real?
They crushed everything they did. I got brisket, sausage, all the sides. Got barbecue ribs. They
Do
were
they
sold
do those
out.
plates where it's like literally a sampler of everything they sell kind of situation?
No,
Or- okay.
it's literally like an old house with a smoke yard on it, and you walk into the house, and then like half of it is for dining, and then they just chop everything right there, and they give you samples. Like, and as soon as I waited that 45 minutes, they were already sold out of pulled pork. They were already sold out of beef rib, and they were like, here's the brisket. I was like, we could leave right now, and I'd be happy. It was fucking incredible, dude.
It's not bad. I think people, I don't want to generalize too much, but I think people sleep on Texas a lot when it comes to food.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you don't get this way by having shitty food.
right?
You know what I'm saying?
None of this is on credit. This is paid in full.
Yeah, for sure. So it's definitely been like I don't know. We got a lot of great food here. I'm a creature of habit though, personally. Like I see a line, I'm over it. I'm not.
Generally, I am.
I'll wait till it's not cool anymore and I'll go try it. You know what I'm saying? You know, because especially being a suburb guy,
Yeah.
anytime they open a fucking Chick-fil-A, people act like it's the first time they've ever had Chick-fil-A before. Someone's camping out to be the first one to eat there. It's always some jerk off motion. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like it's
Sonic.
There's one down the street.
Yeah. Where were you when that one opened?
It's like why is everything why do you gotta camp out on everything?
Damn, Jaden, you did me like that? You wore your LFG shirt?
I did. I did.
Appreciate that, man.
No problem. I appreciate the shirt.
Of course. I meant to bring y'all some gear.
Oh, that's all good, man.
But I wanted to make sure I got everybody's sizes right, and I'll make sure I get that dialed. I'm going to ship y'all out a care package.
Oh hell yeah, I appreciate that.
We got this new shot, says your drug dealer doesn't care about you. Something we've been focusing on lately.
I feel like Jaden has something to say about that.
My drug dealer cares about me quite a bit.
Yeah, don't talk about Big Jack like that.
Oh, man.
No, I have been going through. Y'all got a bunch. Do you do the photography for y'all's page?
Some of it. Then we have the homie Hale Joshua. He comes
Yeah,
on and
he's a
hooks
good
us up.
dude.
He's solid.
Yeah,
He's quiet.
I met him at the Dixon Flannel Party. Same time I met T-Bar Jesus at that. We all rode out to Dixon Flannel back when they used to put on events for people to go hang out there. And Hell Joshua and some other dudes out of San Diego were staying at the same Motel 6 that we were at, and we all stayed up all fucking night partying.
Nice.
And been cool with them ever since. Asked them to shoot a photo of me back in like 19 at Sturgis. That I still have it. That I want not of me and my bike, just at Sturgis. And I was like, I'm gonna print it and put it in here somewhere. But
solid dude.
It's deep in my phone and I forget about it a lot. But
Yeah.
solid dude.
Yeah, we printed his. We did merch for him.
For real?
When we announced that we were doing it, he was like, "Put me down for 100 pieces."
Yeah.
and printed 100 pieces. Didn't know if he was going to sell them or not. Like
Yeah.
that's the kind of homies that I want to keep developing. Like, and he didn't come around. Like at first, he waited to see what we were doing, and then he was like, "All right, they're all right."
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially that's been around for a while, they want to see if someone's gonna stick it out long enough to invest.
Yeah,
That becomes like
makes sense.
Just not even invest financially, invest mentally. Like I don't know if I
Exactly.
want to go down and
make a great friend out of somebody
who's gonna dip and they're not gonna, you know what I mean?
or might be whack as fuck.
Yeah, it's like let them hang out, get their shit rolling, and then we'll come hang out, you know. But
That
then,
was a. Go ahead.
then you feel like you're not supporting them enough. So there's like the caveat to that, if you will, or
Of course, there's always a catch-22 to everything.
Yeah.
It feels like.
It's like I do want to support everybody, but you know, someone just starts a whole brand thing and they pay for a lot of advertising on Instagram. It's like I don't know if I want to bring them on the podcast just yet.
Yeah.
Let them get some wind under their wings on their own first. That way, by the time the podcast airs, they've already dipped out. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Are they going to see this through? Like, what
Yeah.
kind of person am I? Because that's another thing you got to think about. You have a brand now that's based around your podcast, and like, you can't bring on every jabroni that is like, I want to do something cool with Harleys. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you got to
Let
kind
it
of
come and
suss
go.
them out a little bit.
Well, when you know, like we've been doing this bike night here in Dallas for a long time, and same thing. Like guys will come in and they'll be the downest fools on the block, right?
Yeah.
And then they were good for 3 months, or maybe they were good for a year, or maybe they were good for 2 bike nights, and you just never see them again. They either sell their bike or they just,
That yeah.
you know. Tucker, remember him?
Yeah.
Love that dude. Where's he at?
So Tucker has actually joined the ranks of the non-drinking now
Oh, yes.
because he got into
He
some legal,
definitely needed to
he
stop.
got into, yeah, he got into some legal stuff, and without getting too much into it, I just think he's had to make a hard choice: continue this career that he has in aviation or drink. And I think as of right now, because drinking, it almost ruined it, and from what I understand, he has zero room for slip up now, and he's taken the route of not fucking it up. So to do that, he's just completely out of drinking. I think some of it's hard to hang out
Yeah, with us, definitely.
when you just can't do it at all. So I know he's gotten back.
No, handle.
He's gotten back into like motocross. He's spends a lot of time at the track. I noticed. Kyle talked to him the other day, and fuck, I think I've reached out to him within a couple months, but. Yeah.
Dude, it's like that. And most people think about that decision. They're like, what do you mean? How is that even a hard choice? I have to choose between my career or drinking. It's like, well, get put in that situation and you'll understand that, like,
Yeah.
I can want it so fucking badly, but it doesn't make it a fucking easy choice to make.
Yeah.
Me and alcohol have ruined a lot of great opportunities. Fuck ton of great opportunities, man.
Yeah.
Can I vape in here, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Knock yourself
Fuck
out.
yeah. Can I smoke some crank in it? No, I'm just kidding. Fuck, man. So did you go last night to Austin?
Yeah. We were. It was Kyle, Jake, Jace, his son Riley, and I. We went down there for. Oh my God! Lindahl Breaks threw a racing event on. We had Tommy and Charlie on the other day talking about it. Oh, one thing I did want to bring up. Somebody we mentioned earlier gets brought up a lot on this podcast. Who was or how did you guys meet and get hanging out with Juan?
I want to take a quick moment to shout out my fucking boy, Papa Juan El Gallo. If you don't know this dude, follow him on fucking Instagram. You'll make a friend in a fucking heartbeat. He came to an event and he was hitting us up on Instagram, and then he was just consistently stayed thorough. You know what I mean? And we just started inviting him on everything we do now. Juan is a part of.
Yeah.
And then when we started doing the podcast, brought him on, and to date, one of my favorite episodes, just because that dude has lived 4 lifetimes.
Yeah.
Like,
He started a new one.
yeah, and now he's starting a new one.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. It's like, oh, you're giving up on the memes, huh? He's not giving up on them, but he's like, that dude lives a rad life.
Yeah, he does.
He's a fucking good fucking dude too. Like, that's a solid fucking friend.
Yeah.
This has brought me so many great relationships. Like,
Oh, 100%.
can't zero complaints this far. I just want to keep fucking growing.
So, what made you guys decide to do the podcast originally?
I had bought all the equipment and I wanted to start I was going to start a podcast with a homie, but he's been going through it like financially and career, and then like lost a family member that was close to him. And we had done 4 episodes and they're absolute bangers, but I never released them because I didn't know what platform. Like we do on captivate.fm is how we distribute. And the only other podcast I've been on was one called Anonymous Advice, and it was my homeboy who was a DJ. And he takes in questions, relationship questions from people, and then he and his guests dissect it. And there was some fucked up shit that was going on. But
That sounds fun though.
yeah, me and him are talking about bringing it back. Like me and him will be the hosts of it because he needs some help staying consistent. But he told me about Captivate, and that was how that went.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, you know, me and Jaden, he's been really consistent with helping out, doing stuff here. But when you have all this studio and everything, it's like, man, I want to do something else with it. Like one podcast just doesn't seem like enough. But we don't need to do anything else motorcycle related.
Yeah.
But then how much do you want to talk outside of motorcycles before you sound like an idiot?
Right.
You know, because it's not necessarily your wheelhouse or something like that.
Or yeah, you're detracting from what draws people to you.
Yeah.
And for us, so like we were literally just sitting around. And I was like, I want to start a fucking podcast. My boy Zach Rude Paint, he was like, dude, you should bring the boys on and just start a podcast. And we did 1 episode, and our boy was Stefan was there just to take photos. Him and his lady, every event, like anything we ask of them, they're down to support us and help us. They're always buying merch. Now, I mean, they come to all our photo shoots. Now we just shoot them gear.
Yeah.
But he just happened to have the day off and showed up. We did the first episode, and then right after I was like, you're going on. And that was how our whole kind of theme of somebody telling their recovery story of what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. That's when you share your story, that's what it is. But we get a little bit messier, and we tell some funny war stories. We tell some sad shit. You can hear some fucking heartbreaking shit on our podcast. And then you hear like it's always tied back into like my life. I could not imagine being any happier.
Yeah.
Like now that I've given up drugs and made room for like fucking positivity in my life.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems consistency, right? That's the hardest.
Oh my God.
It's even harder when you're trying to get 3 people together. You know what I mean? Like I don't live close to the homies.
Yeah.
So him and Jive Ass Honky Kyle, like they have to track a way to get here to be a part of this. When we do the other one, the Quaint Zone that we do sometimes on YouTube, it's like it's a pain in the ass, right? And you know, trying to find a way to grow it gets difficult, and you know, like asking them to give up every Sunday, you know, to do 4 a month, you know, it just becomes like a hard, you know what I mean?
And I didn't know if like that was my question earlier before we kicked this off was like, is this going to release immediately? You're like, oh yeah, like we're going live and this will be out this week.
No, this podcast will be like it'll be on YouTube. Like people can listen to it from now to forever, but we'll release this episode on Thursday.
Okay.
Because I have to release one from last Thursday tomorrow, and then Thursday.
So backlogging episodes, like I try to get ahead. Like I'll get 2 or 3 episodes ahead, and then I'll have 3 weeks of like, whew.
Yeah, same.
It's a fucking nightmare, man.
So like
I got an episode I'm sitting on right now.
So I have a busy schedule in January and February with paint for people going to Daytona. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take 1 week and go load podcasts. I'm going to go drive to Iowa and then Missouri.
Ooh.
I'm going to do like a big loop.
Yeah.
And get about 5 or 6 episodes recorded. And then I have like 3 or 4 scheduled. So I won't have to necessarily go find people to bring on the podcast for those 2 months.
Yep.
Which will save me a lot of time and be able to get paint work done. But then I'll have something to release. So it's tough, man. Like when we came to do that podcast with you, me and Jaden was on the road for essentially 2 weeks, right? Roughly about a week and a half from once we separated from the other boys.
Yeah.
And all we did was podcast from Boise all the way down to all the way to San Diego. And we left, I think, with 11 podcasts. There was a couple that didn't happen that I wanted to happen. There was a couple that popped up out of nowhere, you know, because we did 2 people. We did your podcast and the Ride Boundless podcast as well.
We were supposed to do that one last week.
That one.
That guy's, I'm very excited.
Cool. I'm glad he did one for a while, and then he kind of stopped, and now he picked it back up, and his production's fucking dope. He's got a little makeshift studio in his apartment. It's rad.
Nice.
You know, he's actually a pretty interesting guy with all the things that he's got
vast
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Acting, comedy, he's kind of plugged into that Hollywood world. You know what I'm saying?
He is, and he lives right above it.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to go last Thursday, and we had to do this parts and labor. We had to do like 200 pieces in the garage. It was a fucking grind.
Yeah.
So we had to reschedule that. And I was like, why don't we just wait till after the new year?
Yeah.
That way, like, because everybody's got so much shit going on.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal. It's like, when you get sponsors, like you have to, for sure, like I have to do this many episodes a month. And you want to make the content great. You don't want to just fluff it up. It's just like, yeah, this is Tim. He's the sales manager at Harley Davidson. Like, what's up, Tim? Like,
Yeah.
Dude might be rad as hell, but like, at some point you have a responsibility to try to bring the best and most interesting things to the table for your audience.
1,000%.
And, when it's live, you want to kind of feel like, fuck, I hope Tim's got it.
Yeah.
I hope I can find a way to bring it out of him.
And that's the other people freeze up.
Yeah.
And then, until like what I've noticed being that there's no video for us yet, people will eventually find their groove and they'll be able to open up and mostly like just find a way to fucking just tell their story congruently.
Exactly.
That becomes like, I don't mind being all over the place, but when it comes to your timeline of your life, you kind of got to keep it fucking on track. But that's where I'm just like, reel it in. You know?
Yeah, for sure. How have you been with like hosting that show? Because I mean, I know the other guys are on it as well, but even when we did it with you, it seemed like you were running. Yeah, you were on the soundboard. You were doing a lot of the questions and kind of keeping tabs on how things were flowing, if you will. So
yeah, so it's like the boys tee off of what I give them, and like sometimes they're not all three of us are not able to make it. And I've done episodes with just Rafa, I've done episodes with just Dustin. I've done a couple. I did one with 13th Street Customs. It was me and my buddy Rude Paint, and we did Shayna's episode.
Nice.
And what else? I mean, it's I just try to keep it as Rogan-esque as I can. Like let people talk.
Yeah.
And just extract.
Exactly. That's what you want. Because I've been trying to get to a point where I'm writing more things down so that I can eliminate some of the fluff in the podcast, because our podcasts tend to be long.
Yeah.
And not that I don't enjoy that, but if I could take a 3-hour podcast and just get a little bit of fluff away and be at 2.5 or 2 hours, then that's probably better. It's more palatable for new listeners to come in.
Right.
So having some kind of like direction on paper that I can go, okay, so, I definitely wanted to talk about this. You know what I mean? It's just helpful. But
I've been taking notes. I'm like, I like what he's got going on here. Notepad. God, he's got his shit so dialed.
Well, the other thing, like Jaden, the Patreon stuff we're doing, he's kind of more interviewing me. And one of the things I told him is like, when you have a general question, allow them to talk and then find your other questions in their what they're saying.
Response.
So like you just said, pull from it. And that way, because if you ever like sat down with somebody, man, I'm asking you this as a podcaster, you sat down with someone and said, so how'd you get into all this? And he just wrapped up 40 years in 15 minutes.
Yes.
And you're
like, great. Okay. So tell me about your school bus driver,
Yeah. So it's like, you have to be able to stop them, because if you let them just go, they'll tell the whole story in 15 minutes.
Yep.
You got to stop them, and it makes them kind of hyper focus on that part of their life, and more shit comes out, and then it broadens that 15-minute story to 2 hours.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you go down your tangents. You start talking about, you used to ride 3-wheelers too? Those are fucking wild, right?
Death machines.
Yeah. So it's like, it helps kind of, and then what that does, that helps the audience relate to them, because those little hidden gems of like something they did that this listener might have also done, or been from that same part of town, or been to that town, or who knows, right?
Yeah.
And it just becomes more interesting to listen to. You know what I mean? 100%. So
now, I remember you said this on my podcast, is that you doing this has allowed you to pick and choose the paint work you do.
Oh yeah. 100%.
How long did it take before you felt like the podcast really kind of caught traction?
Well, like I said, we've been talking about this on our Patreon episodes about the podcast, but I started making immediate money on the podcast, but it was like $100.
Yeah.
And then it was like that for quite a while. And then about 8 to 9 months, about 10 months in it, it got to a point where I had 4 or 5 sponsors and I was getting $100 per sponsor. So I made like $500. And it pretty much stayed that way for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And then we started getting other brands that wanted to come on, and there was more of a competing for the spots
Yep.
of sponsorships, and it just kind of started growing. Our Patreon kind of jumped up from like nothing to a couple $100, and then it was good. I didn't honestly, and I hate talking about it on this because then people quit our Patreon because they, because like, oh, this he's doing fine. He doesn't need it, even though I'm trying to get to a point to like hire somebody to be here all the time. And, and you know, this is a business. You know what I mean?
And people also misinterpret the level of money that is made from people think because I sell T-shirts that the three of us are fucking rolling in money. Like it almost costs more to run this brand than it does profitability.
Yeah, and it's like that for a long time.
A long time.
I mean, because I'd say at the end of 2019 when we decided to build the studio, I didn't decide to build the studio because it was fucking making me money.
No.
I had bikes. What really happened was I had a lot of money to pay taxes, and my tax lady said, well, we're going to depreciate your bike, and you only owe $500 for your taxes this year. I'm like, cool. Well, I'm going to take the other $6 or $7 grand that I had. I'm going to go start building this up.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's only been the last maybe year that the podcast made
some
enough
ROI.
money. Yeah. They made enough money to where, like, oh, shit, I was able to fly Cruzy out last year on the podcast money. I was able to go on that month-long trip and do those 10 episodes because we had enough money to cover all the bills at the shop to then be able to go get the episodes for people.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like we built a studio here that hopes that everybody would come here, but that's just not the reality. Not everybody, you know, sees the value in it and whatnot, and that's understandable. Like, we've had a lot of people that have made special trips out here, and it means the world to us. But now I want to take this video aspect further. So I've spent more money to create another way to do this podcast that is fun to me and challenging and interesting, right?
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, like I want to do this for a living, full time only, and paint on the side when I want to.
Yeah.
And I can't do that yet. So
that's a dream. That's what I was thinking, that it had become this pressure release valve for the paint work.
It did. It made my life much more. It just made it easier, right?
Hell yeah.
Like I said earlier, you know, you were talking about how you were doing the DJ thing. Like, whether that's the podcast for you as it is for me, or it's the thing that can be your baseline so that you can start trying these other things out in life.
Exactly.
And paint is my baseline that I know I'll always be able to make something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm grateful for that, and I don't ever want to give it up. I just want it to be more valuable to the people that are getting it. Therefore, I can get more money for my time, and that's just growth. That's,
right. More importantly, like, I got kids, bro.
Yeah. And I've always told people, it's like, look, man, if I figure out how to become a millionaire, I'm going to leave a bigger mark on the scene, and people are going to benefit from it. You know, I'm not going to start making millions of dollars and be like, cool, I'm going to go get a Bentley and a fucking this and start traveling the world. And no, I'm fucking like, dude, hey, the homies, we're going on a fucking Europe trip.
That's what I want to do, you know? Man. That's the dream for us, is like, I want to pick up my camera again and start vlogging doing fucking trips. Because that's at the root of LFG. It's turned into this like crushing miles. And I would say Juan has a huge part in this. And like everybody getting married really helps, because we went on like 8 bachelor parties. And like we're just fucking going on these gnarly rides. And nothing gets weirder than fucking 12 sober dudes in a fucking house that have all been to fucking prison for the most part. Like we did some debaucherous shit in Utah. It was fucking awesome. It was fucking gnarly. But yeah, so that I want to get into like vlogging trips of us crushing miles and inviting more, because that invites more people. Like that's what we want to do. Like make the most of it out of our life. Go ride around this fucking beautiful country and like entertain people that way. Because that's fucking, we're funny. I know we're fucking funny and we're fucking rad. And like I want to share that with people.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think that'll be a good one too. You know, especially if you get just your cast of characters you already have, Juan, and I think that, like, obviously there's tons of people making YouTube content in the vlog aspect, but truly I don't think there's ever going to be – everybody has a different perspective, and I think every type of people have a type of audience that's going to like it, right?
Yep.
You got guys like San Diego Customs, which they appeal to a certain type of audience, same way that we do, same way that you guys do, and a lot of that crosses over. It's not like this is ours, this is yours. It all kind of blends in, but some people are more drawn to that. Some people are more drawn to you guys, and some people are more drawn to me, and that's just the nature of all this shit, right? But I think it'd be rad for you guys to do that. And the hard thing is like getting everybody to stay on board with it. And
being consistent.
It's like you start, wanting to do this and this. Next thing you got 8 fucking hats on. You do have help from everybody, but at the end of the day, it's like they're still on your head, and
True.
that's where it gets a little bit over cumbersome.
I would say that's definitely my role in LFG 1904 is like I'm the creative outlet, and then Dustin is like the older brother that fucking yanks the leash and reels me back in, and Rafa is just like my road dog to make sure it all gets done. And like I'm sure I play a role to them in a different way, but like I have a million great ideas. It's just being able to hone in on it and fucking consistently lay it down. And like the boys have definitely been a fixture in keeping me on track with that.
Happen for sure,
dude. And I will say, San Diego Customs, those dudes I've heard so many like not horror stories, but like those dudes this and that. Those dudes have been nothing but rad to me every time. I went into that shop and I didn't know my fucking bike from a fucking hole in the ground, and they were patient and nothing but cool with me. Answered every fucking question I had, and I was a straight squid.
Yeah,
and like they've been nothing but cool.
Yeah, 100%. That's how I felt.
Yeah,
I was nervous when I like went and did the podcast with them and met them. I was like, man, these guys are. Their reputation is good and bad depending on who you listen to. And when I say bad, they're just like they
hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Not like they're doing shit fucked up or anything like that, right? And man, I was just blown away, man. Like
I wish they would bring Night Moves back. Dude, that was a good fucking show.
It really was. They're just they're busy. They're doing a lot of shit, man. And I know that the Night Moves thing was good. He had Carrie Hart, he had Hot Dog on there. Danny G is always a fucking gem to have on a podcast. He's been on y'all's.
Dude, he hasn't yet, but dude, y'all were talking about us on there, and I just want to thank you again for fucking plugging us up, Danny. Fucking will
because he's sober and everything too. Yeah,
he's California sober, right? He blazes.
Yeah, he does.
California sober.
He says he uses it for sleep though. Just sleep. Yeah.
I mean, I don't give a shit. I wish I could smoke weed and not fucking end up in a bag of cocaine. You know what I mean? Fuck. I wish I could fucking have a whiskey sour and not fucking go ask a homeless person to find drugs for us. Like, I'm fucking jealous.
We met last night at the bar. We met what do we call him? Cocaine Santa.
Cocaine Jesus?
No, it's Santa Claus, dude.
Nice.
You got a whaling claws.
Whaling Claus.
Fucking love it.
Dude.
Bro, I was in Colorado 2 weeks ago doing this rodeo rave thing where I play like 90s country music. I played Family Traditions by Hank Williams and nobody knew it. Really? I was heartbroken.
That's sad.
It was bad. But they get all down to Florida Georgia line. Fucking shoot me.
Yeah.
But they knew Dolly Parton, so I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But they were rad aside from that. There was 60 of them in this 1,100 person cap. It was an intimate show.
Come a little closer, guys.
Yeah, and they did not want to come closer.
It's like a big gap where the music doesn't hit them the same way.
No.
That's wild, man. So what do you think like is some of the goals that you guys want to try to achieve for 2023? You know what I mean?
So collectively, like we're definitely run off a democracy. It's a 2/3 vote. Like
for sure.
If 2 of the 3 of us agree to do something, it's going down.
That's good. Yeah.
And fucking this year we have flat out said we're doing way more shows. Mm-hmm. And like we're all trying to get to a point where LFG can support us and pay our bills so we can scale it up more. Mm-hmm. And like I'm not getting paid from it right now, from the screen printing or any of that. Like we're really trying to figure it out, and the shows have been supplementing it. But getting Dustin to a point where he can come and help me in the print shop or do LFG full time, and we can get a shop, and like that's my focus is like how can I capitalize on what I'm good at to make us bigger?
Yeah.
And not like blow up, but to like get more stuff.
Yeah.
Like I just want more merch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you got the gist down right. It's the more you can be out and be seen, because obviously not everybody's listening to podcasts, not everybody's on Instagram. It's like when you're out there and you talk to people and you shake the hands and you make the relationships, you fucking grow that way. You get plugged into different circles, and man, like there's something to, I mean, it's good to have good social media presence, but it's good to also be there in the scene as well and not just be online. And
Does the rally do that for y'all, the camp out?
Well, the camp out, I mean, how do you work? We don't really do, the way we do the camp out is there's no vendors, but we want you to be there. We want your brand to be represented there. We want you to be there to party and ride and be a part of all this stuff. Not necessarily, it's not about, the drugs or any of that stuff, because there's plenty of that shit there. Fun drugs, like recreational stuff, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Mushrooms.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. But there's, we kind of do it in a way to kind of help, put like this. there's millions of rallies. There's Daytona. There's every small rally in between. You know, Laughlin. There's Sturgis. There's all this shit, right?
All of it.
Right. There's plenty of those big things to go to. And then you go to California, and there's plenty of those rad chopper shows and bike shows and stuff that go on everywhere. Campouts, Kernville, all that stuff.
Yep.
We want to give people something in the middle of the country that's not easy to be at, right? Everybody, except for us, really, have to make a track to get there. We have to ride. And we found, and this wasn't something that we conjured up before we started the camp out. This is something as a result of the camp out. We learned that people find more friendships in the random people they didn't know exist in their community when they start linking up to ride to the camp out.
That's rad.
You know what I mean? Because those little gas station stops, maybe a hotel stop or whatever, becomes like a crazy bonding experience for people, and they leave with lifelong friends, not to mention the friends they make at the camp out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So and we get people that, you know, almost the people that don't have a good time at our camp out are the people that they had no intentions of having a good time.
Then those people are everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't want to turn it into a thing where you ride in and it feels like it's just a money grab for this brand. But we found it like when you have the guy that's pretty much running Simpson helmets there, you know, pulling moonshine out of the back of his Jeep to let everybody take a sip. And, you know, he's talking Simpson, but he's not selling anybody helmets. He's just there at the camp out being one of us. You know, when you have, you know, Thunder Max or you have, you know, Lexin or, you know, My Machinist, all these brands out there riding, because a lot of times these guys forget why they're in the motorcycle industry.
Riding.
You know, you put that cardboard table in between you and the customer too much, and you get disconnected from why that customer's there.
Damn.
You know?
That was a fucking bow, 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 bow. That was a fucking banger right there, dude.
Thank you. Just came up with it.
That was a fucking gem.
That's the truth, you know, and it's like if more people, you know, there's nothing wrong with doing the vendor shows, the Born Frees, the Sturgises, but you can gain just as much traction by being at these smaller, more intimate events. Well, we have 1,000 people coming to our camp out, so they're not that small, right?
That's not small.
But the thing is that, like, you know, we were thinking about doing wristbands and trying to capitalize a little bit. If I can cushion, like, to be on the road for a month, like, fuck yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more of a hassle than it's worth to do
to
it.
keep everybody accountable.
Well, that and just like
the logistics.
Just where's your wristband at? Like, I don't want it to feel that way.
No.
So it's like I'm fucking over it. I'm just gonna sell T-shirts. I make money doing that.
I was gonna say selling the rally shirt, right? Or
the camp out shirt.
So when is the
April 27th through the 30th, right?
God, it's gonna be fucking raining the whole way here.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
That's what I mean. It snows for some people. It rains for others.
True.
And the thing is, like,
I don't got anything going on in April. I might be fucking trekking it out here.
Dude, there's big groups that come out of Cali, so, you know.
I'm sure Juan will be one of them, leading the pack.
You know, I try to tell people all the time, it's like, if you just try it, and when you come here, come be a part of it. Don't camp out in the woods where no one knows you. You don't have to do all the crazy drugs and that kind of stuff.
There's push-up contests. I've seen that.
Yeah, we get up there, and, you know, the brands like you, what we do is like, hey, get on stage, bring some shit to give away or ship it there or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you want these people to do for some merch?
Oh, come on.
And for some reason, people do some stupid shit for some stupid stuff.
Oh, I'm down for all that. This is critical vlog content, bro.
Yeah, 100%. So we had to do, snort cayenne pepper last year for a air pump from Lexin?
Yeah, it's like a mix of like chili pepper, cayenne pepper.
Yeah, I thought it was fucked.
I got a homie that grows Carolina Reaper peppers and makes a hot sauce, and he'll send you pods, raw Carolina Reaper pods.
Yeah.
If you eat it and you can't drink anything for 10 minutes. If you do that, videotape it, he'll send you more merch. I'll bring some of those.
Okay.
Straight out of Carolina.
Well, that's the thing. Is like you find ways to become part of it. And, you know, we have a lot of sober guys that come to our camp out. So I think that even for you guys, it'll be a good – you can create even a smaller community within ours for people. You know what I'm saying?
So the big thing, like, people that aren't in recovery, they – like, I can be – it's not on you that you can't – or how do I say this right? I'm getting all fucked up. just because I can't drink doesn't mean the rest of the world should stop.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I should hide from them either.
And I know that it's probably, for some people, it's hard to be around a lot of that.
In your first, it should
Yeah.
be. In your first year, it should be a little uncomfortable. But also, like, I'll break out some AA history for you. So it started at Bill Wilson's house. And they used to keep a bottle of whiskey on the table, the breakfast table, every morning because you're going to have to go out in the world. So the first members of AA that got sober were fucking tempted everywhere they want. It was either on the fridge or it was on the table. Like, liquor's going to be there.
Yeah.
It's on you to not want this shitty life anymore. But finding community, like, yeah, it's going to be difficult. If you got 30 days clean and you go to the fucking camp out and somebody's blowing an eighth of fucking mushrooms up their butthole, like, you might find it a little difficult to not want to.
I've met people that are sober that can't be around it.
Yeah.
And they said, look, I want to come, but I just can't. I'm like, I respect that.
Yeah.
But I think I remember, might even said this to you guys when we were in San Diego. It's like, you guys should do something like, you do these trips, and I think it'd be cool if you found a way to, if you're not already, I could be, just find a way to get people on those things, because traveling on bikes is
fucking awesome.
It's not as hard as trying to learn how to wheelie a bike. So, and you could get just as much joy out of it. It might not give you the Instagram fame that the wheelie does.
True.
But it'll give you something for yourself that I think that you'll enjoy more.
A lasting impression. And that's, we've kind of harnessed in on that. It's like, oh, people enjoy this, and we love crushing miles. There's nothing, like you said, if I could like do something that would fund a fucking 2-week trip where I could just go rip, I'm down for it. Mm-hmm. I'm traversing the nation for Zach's fucking bachelor party. We're going to Laconia from fucking San Diego.
You gonna ride?
Yeah, fuck yeah, we're gonna ride. Yeah.
That's why I like being in Dallas, because it's 1,000 miles everywhere. You guys are doing like corner to corner almost.
Oh yeah, and then I wanted it. So this is why I got to get the YouTube going, because then I could generate the buzz, and then I could talk so much shit that people would be like, "When is it happening?" But go from the border, Tijuana border, to Seattle, or the Vancouver Seattle border.
Yeah.
Then either go across Canada through all those provinces.
If you can get into Canada and I can't, I'll be pissed.
I would definitely say, yeah, you should be good. Let me also say, there was so much hype on, like, bro, they're not gonna let you in, because I got like some assault charges, and I've been dipped a couple times, drunk in public. You know what I mean? I fucked around a bit. They didn't even fucking bat an eye when I went through they didn't pull me to secondary, nothing, and like, I was terrified. I even told the dudes when they sent me to Vancouver, I was like, hey, just have somebody on backup just in case they don't let me in.
Yeah.
It's like, that's my wild. Friends that have felonies, it would be a lot more difficult. Like, I got some homies that did some shit, but
just DWI.
Oh, see, I don't have that, so I don't know. But here's the thing: flying in different than riding in. I've heard that at the border, like that way, they're a little bit more strict and they fuck with you a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
I had the same experience. I've got a DWI, and I flew fairly soon after it to Canada multiple times. I had the same experience you did. No, like, kind of nervous the first time, and then it was like flying into any other city in the U.S. It was never an issue. You did your standard customs thing, but there was no background check or anything like that. And makes me think some of that may be a little bit of urban legend.
For sure.
And I have heard that too, that driving, my grandmother, a long time ago, they confiscated a pistol of hers that she had in the car, and she just forgot she had it. But they searched an old lady and her husband's car and ended up finding a piece.
Damn.
Yeah. They
Meemaw, stay strapped. Fuck around and find out.
Meemaw?
Yeah.
But yeah, I have heard that crossing the border in a
that
car is
makes
a lot
sense.
more intrusive, and they step it up a little bit more that way.
Dude, I've heard nothing but good things about the riding up in Canada, though.
Oh, trust me, it's on the list. It's on the bucket list. 100%.
So if I can't get the homies across the border, then we'll just take the 10 all the way across, go past the Great Lakes, shoot through Ohio up to the top of Maine, and then take 95 from the top of Maine down to Miami, then take the fucking 10 back across.
Okay.
4 corners, baby.
Yeah, it's
a
hard one.
That's a mish.
Yeah, that Florida will get you, dude.
Will it? I heard it's flat. And
it's flat.
They're trying to get you the whole time.
And you get rained on and soaked, and then dry it off, and then soaked again and dry it off. And I enjoyed it. I did Key West a couple months ago, and I enjoyed it. Then I had to race the hurricane out of Florida.
Shit. Yeah. That's fucking gnarly.
When you get down to South Florida, it becomes a lot more unique, because Pensacola and all that stuff up there, it's nice. It's beautiful. Great sunsets. Probably not as good as San Diego. But it's rad, but you feel like you're in Mississippi and Alabama still for the most part. You know what I mean? It's not till you get down there and there's fucking iguanas running across the street where you're like, yeah, this isn't like Texas anymore. You know what I mean? So
Texas is fucking massive.
Yeah.
And the amount of highways, freeways, frontage roads, like that's a pretty sick setup. The frontage roads, if you don't want to pay the tolls, you take the frontage road the whole time.
Yeah.
But there's it's pretty crazy. 397, 385, like 297.
what gas?
No. Well, I mean, oh yeah, that's also fucking mind blowing too.
Yeah.
My buddy's like, when I got here, it was $1.53 a gallon.
Yeah.
It's fucking $5 where I live.
Yeah, it's tough, dude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Texas, man. We've got a couple gyms that I rode Terralingua for the first time in my life this year, and I'm hooked. I loved it out there.
Where's that?
It's like south. It's like if you're coming in on the 10, like coming this way from El Paso, you hit Van Horn, take that south, and it just drops you into like close to the border of Mexico in Texas. Beautiful,
Nice.
really nice.
When I traversed the country the first time, I was on a Greyhound bus, and I woke up. I went to sleep in Dallas. I got off, smoked a blunt in downtown Dallas at the Greyhound station. And let me also tell you that they don't put Greyhound stations in nice places.
Yeah.
I was approached by two gentlemen who were literally looking at each other, deciding whether they were going to rob me or not.
Yeah, for sure.
Fortunately, I had the defensive end from Baylor there smoking this blunt with me, so we was good. He was on his way to College Station, I think, and I was headed fucking west. Well, I woke up in El Paso. Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking Border Patrol agents strapped, ready to fucking go. Like, face covered, rifles ready to go. And like everyone looked scared and panicked. I got off one bus, got on the next one, and then like we start pulling off, and they're like, off to your left, scenic Juarez, Mexico. And it's just like shanty towns.
Yeah.
It was fucking
It's
gnarly.
wild. Yeah, it's a good perspective thing.
For
First time
sure.
I drove through there, I was like, could you imagine living there and then looking back over here and seeing neon signs and restaurants and, a Target? You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
It's just wild. And I'm sure they have some kind of business over there, but it's just not the same. You know what I mean?
For sure.
That's
not.
wild.
Yeah.
Real El Paso,
property.
El Paso feels more like a desert town, like a Phoenix or even like a parts of LA than it does feel like Texas to me.
So it's its own little world.
Yeah, I mean it's just so different, and when you go west from here, you just get into there's towns everywhere, but they're just so small. You don't really hit any big cities until you get to El Paso. You know what I mean?
And it's fucking, after that, it's just the desert.
Yeah.
New Mexico was beautiful. Like the sunsets were incredible. And like all the overpasses are painted. I thought that was fucking rad. But I never rode through it. But I hear not many other good things about New Mexico.
Their politics kind of fucked. I think it kind of stripes the whole state. But you got a lot of Indian reservations, and then of course there's all that baggage that comes with that, and just how they've been oppressed and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they can't handle alcohol.
Dog. I mean, they never had it until the white man introduced it.
That shit, it's crazy when you get to like Farmington, New Mexico. You're like right by the Navajo Nation. Just drunk Indians everywhere, dude.
Really?
It's sad.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's wild because they can't have alcohol on the reservation, and this is like Monument Valley. It's like a huge part of land. And the first time we came through there as a group, we're like stopping at the gas station, like, yeah, y'all have a liquor store, a beer store, so we can get some stuff before we go to the campground. It's like, you're not getting any of that out here. But then this year we go through Mexican Hat and they got a full beer store right there. So we were kind of like, I don't know what changed, or maybe there's just like one pocket of like
not giving a fuck.
Because it's Mexican Hat's not close to anything either. You're not going to run to there real quick. It's 70 miles from towns.
Well, I mean, and not to dive into this rabbit hole, but what's up with their politics? Where do they lean left or lean right?
Oh, heavy left.
Heavy left?
Yeah,
Okay.
heavy left. So
Yeah. I've seen that fuck some shit up.
that was
Not to go down this rabbit hole, but I live in
Yeah.
California.
Trust me, man. I'm down the middle kind of politics, but with them, like I remember in 2020 when we did our Yellowstone and Sturgis trip, we came through New Mexico and it was just like all the dining outside shit, and this was, it just sucked because a lot of these businesses are already kind of struggling there, and then
And they get locked down.
yeah, because really New Mexico, it's like the main thing is Albuquerque, which I guess is where your old lady's from.
Yeah. And I think New Mexico outside of California and New York had some of the strictest like lockdown, all those sorts of,
I'm 1,000 degrees. I'm taking this fucking
all
hoodie
those
off.
measures and everything that you guys felt so bad, the stay at home orders, the shelter in place, all that shit. especially with the businesses. I think New Mexico got it.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Outside of New York, California, like as bad as anybody.
I had heard someone saying like they didn't even want people stopping in the towns to get gas driving through.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could get that, it being so desolate. Like,
Yeah.
you bring COVID in there, you might kill half the population.
But yeah, it's tough, man. You know, it's a beautiful place though. Ruidoso is amazing.
Las Cruces?
Ruidoso is kind of like a little bit. Las Cruces is like just north of El Paso, but Ruidoso is kind of like the Billy the Kid territory up in
Hell yeah.
the Lincoln Forest Mountains or something like that.
Yeah, it's a little ski town too, but it's kind of like a
Kind of by Roswell and
almost like a
those kind of
junior
places.
varsity
Alright.
ski town.
Yeah.
It's not a Telluride or a Breckenridge for sure, but it's it's beautiful in the wintertime, and it's a cool
Yeah.
place to get away. A lot of people in Texas will run out there, especially like west, like Lubbock and stuff. That's a quick trip for those people.
And that's the oil fields, right?
Yeah.
Lubbock, Odessa.
Yeah. I mean, you cross over the I guess eastern New Mexico border up against Texas, not the southern part. It's all oil field stuff, all the way up, I believe, and it's still nice. Like I dig it because the New Mexico line is where you really start to see terrain and mountains and shit. So
Did you go through Kernville and you see all the oil grasshoppers going up and down? That shit's wild to me.
I honestly don't know if I've ever ridden through Kernville.
Yeah, I've only done this a couple times coming from slow, but it's like it's just like a huge ass oil derricks everywhere, and the shit's just it's almost like apocalyptic feeling. I'm
Yeah.
like, fucking Mad Max is racing around here, fucking somewhere.
Yeah, that's rad.
Got the homies up there, Shifter Crew, fucking
Okay.
Pork Dizzle. That's where that dude's from.
Nice.
But yeah, California is such a weird place, man. Like so much killer stuff to do, and then so many fucking weirdos, and then not so weirdos.
Dude, I was talking about today on the drive back from Austin. Like, I really fell in love with the Eastern Sierras, like the Mammoth and those kind of towns on that. It felt like it was isolated from the busyness of the other side of the mountains. And, you know, you have the desert kind of meeting with the grass of the foothills. And,
Yep.
dude, I loved it. I can ride California all the time. And I honestly, if it wasn't so insane to live there, I would definitely live there. But you were saying it today, like people, they don't even want to retire there because they want like 30% of your retirement.
Yep.
So people will retire out of the state and move out just to.
Well, everybody does that in South Dakota too,
Oh, for real?
because they don't tax your income. There's zero income tax in Montana and South Dakota, I think.
Oh,
That's where I also want to hit up. Montana, I've heard really good things about. I rode South Dakota.
Missoula, man, good times. Red
Hell
Lodge,
yeah.
good times.
Hell.
That's the only two towns I've been to, but fucking amazing place. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Just
I
parts
mean,
of
it's
the
beautiful
country.
in the summer. I don't know about
Yeah, it's probably fucking brutal right now,
Yeah.
covered in 6 foot of snow.
Yeah.
One thing on the brand before we get out of here, you said you guys were one of y'all's goals was hitting more shows this year. Which one specifically are you looking at?
Born Free.
Born Free.
Yeah, I'd love to get into Born Free, and then just like you were saying, like promoting like local growth, and then there's the guys who have held us down from the jump that are like the local stunt crew, but they also run a garage called Senders Only.
Yeah.
Like they want to
Joey 55 and those
Yep,
guys.
Joey 55, Foley 829, Andy 76, Bofa Show, all those dudes. Andy fucking Snowman, the old Snowman. Snowball is his name, but those dudes want to promote local growth, and they want
Yeah.
to keep the scene alive, and like that is their main focus, is like catering to San Diego and like keeping the culture alive and like healthy.
Yeah.
And like we want to get involved in that too.
Oh, 100%.
Because like San Diego's held us down, and we also want to grow, but we also want to remain true to what we want to do. Like my dream, I told you this when you were out in San Diego, is like to get a camp out or like I feel like San Diego needs a rally. Like they're
Yeah.
all over the place, and I feel like we are a great place to do that because it's so big.
And just find something unique to do. You know, usually city stuff isn't necessarily the best, you know, for those kind of events, but getting away from it, but still having it accessible for people that are coming from out of town is always good. And you got those mountains up there, and there's got to be some good spots that you can kind of either do, you know, nothing wrong with doing a camp out, but there's just so many other ways people can do stuff. Runs, I feel like people doing more run type situations that are hotel based or camping still, but not necessarily like a one place. I don't know. There's nothing that we did. We didn't invent anything. You know what I
Right.
mean? All the OGs of the past invented all these awesome things to do on bikes. It's just I think sometimes we forget them, and you know, I think if you just go revisit some of these old clubs and how they used to go about the country and doing things, you'll find very unique ways to do your own thing. You know what I mean? Jaden's been having some good ideas about doing some stuff in Texas and whatnot. And it's, you know, like all it takes is a couple dudes to do it, and then eventually it starts to grow. I mean, our first camp out had 40 or 50 people at it.
Fuck, that's still fucking awesome.
So that's all you got to – and if we would have quit then, it's like, oh, fuck, there's only 50 people at it, then we wouldn't be sitting at 1,000 now. So –
putting in the legwork, the
gotta,
grind. Fall in love with the fucking grind,
yeah.
people. The instant gratification ain't fucking coming. It only comes when you're getting high. That's my experience.
Yeah, fall in love with the aspect that you're doing something that you also want to do. So get high on your own supply in that, right?
Here we go. Come on.
So that you know what I mean? Because if you want to do it, then you're going to be down to do it regardless of how many people show up. You know, same way with our bike night. Like, people hear about it all the time, like, oh, it must be a rager. No. Sometimes it's 3 of us. It's not about, to us, it's not about, if we had a 400-person bike night, I feel like none of the intimacies of our friendships would exist. It's hard to create that in such a large group of people, you know? You go to high school with 20 motherfuckers in a small town, you know everything about those 20 motherfuckers. I went to high school with, my class was 1,500 people or some shit like that.
Right.
Graduating class started with like 4,000, so there's no way you're going to know all these people, right? It's going to be harder to have those more
intimate relationships.
Exactly.
Man, I'm fucking here for every bit of this. I just want to thank both of you for giving me time.
Sure.
Come on here. It's been an absolute
Thanks for
fucking pleasure.
moving your flight for us.
Oh, dog, that was a no-brainer. I was so down.
Hell yeah. Well, Graff, thank you. We got to get you to the airport. We got an hour to get you there.
Oh, shit.
So thanks for doing it. And I wish the other guys could have came on too. Been nice to see Dustin and Rafa up here. And hell, even old Papa Juan.
Come on.
But,
the old flying Spaniard.
Yeah, man, don't hesitate to reach out. Like if you want to do things, or I know that California has it all, but there's a big country here that I'm sure likes your message and wants to support your brand, and would love to see you in different parts of the country. So
absolutely,
Laconia, is one of them.
We're coming.
So, cool.
It's the 125th anniversary.
Fuck. I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, man.
Cool.
Later.